time we leave, we say stay up. Focus on the love, not the hater. Streets is not your friend, show you no love. Some will never know till they grow up. Grandma's on her knees, staying prayed up. Kids is outside getting sprayed up. I'm coming home late, don't stay up.
You are now watching the Corey Porter Podcast, Prison Talk.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Corey Porter Podcast, Prison Talk, where I talk to many people from around the world about their time in prison and their transition of when they came home and how they changed their life. I got a special guest because all my guests are special. You know what I'm saying? I got my man Supreme here. You know what I'm saying? And what's up, man? What's going on? Introduce yourself to the people.
Peace and love. My name is Supreme Energy. A lot of y'all know me out there as Sleezo Bang when I was doing the music and all of that. And I'm just here with my bro Corey Porter, man. We knew each other a long time. And so he familiar with my story, and I'm bringing my story. He felt like my story was worthy enough for me to present it to y'all, so that so y'all could get a glimpse into the life that I lead and the life that I live without actually having to live that life. So you could weigh the pros and cons of your actions before actually doing it. You could learn. It's conceptual learning instead of motor perpetual learning. And the difference to that is conceptual learning is if I go touch a stove and you see if I go touch a hot stove and you see that I burn myself, you learn not to touch that hot stove from the concept of me touching that hot stove. But the motor perpetual learning is when you see me touch that hot stove, you somehow believe that it won't burn you, so you got to experience it for yourself. You know what I mean? So I try to give y'all the experiences that I went through so that y'all can learn from the conceptual point instead of having to go through it yourself with the motor perpetual.
Yeah. Now listen, you did some time in prison. You know what I'm saying? This is prison talk. You know what I'm saying? You did some time in prison. How much time altogether did you do?
Shit. Altogether, about 22 years.
22 years.
Altogether, about 22.
And what was the earliest time you went in?
I got locked up when I was 12 the first time.
12.
Yeah, 12. And I got 2 years. So I went in when I was 12, came home when I was 14.
All right, so stop right there though. Let's talk about that though. The 12, when you was 12.
Yeah.
What did you get locked up for that gave you 2 years when you was 12?
Oh man. It started out like more like me being like I was kind of like the class clown or whatever, but I was like, I was one of the smartest people in the class. Like, well, honestly, I was one of the smartest people in school. So in elementary school, I would spend half my day in elementary school, and then after lunch, they would take me to the middle school. So so from 4th and 5th grade, I would spend half my day in elementary school, half my day in the middle school, and learning there in a program called PACE. So which was people that had accelerated learning. So we learn faster than the average people or whatever. So they put us in special classes called PACE so that we could learn on our own level so that we wasn't be held back by the class, because they felt like a lot of my issues came from me from the work being so easy that I would finish it so fast, and then I would be sitting there bored. So it would be idle time. And you know, they say idle time is the devil's playground, and I could agree to that and attest to that shit is true. So it started out like that or whatever. And then PACE was, honestly, the PACE classes was too easy for me. So it was the same thing there. Like when I would spend half my day in the middle school, I would finish that work easy, and then I would distract the other kids in the class or whatever. So then me being a distraction for so long led to me getting kicked out of school. I would get into fights and stuff like that, really. But like none of my issues never was really like personal issues that I had with somebody. It was always an issue through somebody else. Like one of my friends I have an issue or whatever, and it'd be like, that's my friend. He got an issue. I'm in there. And that's my issue too now. I mean, so it was like that. A lot of trouble I was getting into was based off of other people. Me thinking that I was being a friend to them, I would jump out the window and get myself in trouble. So once I started getting kicked out of school, they sent me from regular school districts in Poughkeepsie. They sent me to what's called alternative schools. They had opened up something called Beta. I was one of the first students that ever went there, and they sent me to Beta. I was out there, and it was pretty much the same thing. It was worse there because it was actually like a whole bunch of troubled kids like me. Like it was an alternative school. Kids got kicked out of their public schools, so they couldn't go to their public schools no more. So it was really just like it was like a stepping stone. It was like, yo, you 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the juvenile detention center right here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
mostly everybody that was in Beta was headed towards juvenile detention. So
Yeah.
while I was in Beta and I was going there doing that, trying to do school there, I was getting into a lot of fights because it's people from all different cities in Dutchess County, and they all go through to that one alternative school. So you in there with a whole bunch of out of towners and stuff like that. And us being from Poughkeepsie, which is probably we consider ourselves like the toughest place in that county or whatever. So it was
Yeah.
that pressure, it was that peer pressure with that, and me having the idea like, yo, I can't let nobody in this school. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like they from wherever they from,
Yeah.
Beacon and Wappingers and all that shit. Like, we had that childish mentality that like yo, Poughkeepsie over everything. So
Yeah.
we was
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
around all the Poughkeepsie dudes, me and Donovan and rest in peace, O Diggs, me and O Diggs. We was there first, and then Donovan came that next year. But I wound up getting kicked out of there. And when I wasn't in school, I used to still get into a lot of trouble because I was running around young, 10, 11, like breaking into cars and getting whatever
Yeah.
I could get. I go into the parking lots or whatever, go to ShopRite or whatever supermarkets they had back then, James Way and Stop and Shop and all of that shit, Kmart parking lots, and just
Right.
go into every car I could find, which is actually how I got my first gun. Got my first gun by breaking into cars.
Wait, you got
And
somebody? So you got somebody else's gun out of their car when you was in there?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I
yeah.
would, I would, I would, I would, I would get. That's how I would get my money and stuff like that. And I would find shit, breaking certain cars. You find drugs. Know what I mean? Like you never know
Yeah.
what people got in their car. Know what I mean? And I always knew that. Like, yo, people be keeping stuff in their car because I got older family members that keep stuff in their car. So I started breaking in the cars and shit like that. And then
Yeah.
it went from the parking lot breaking in the cars to actually finding like actual drug dealers where I would pay attention to the drug dealers that drove by. Now, mind you, I'm like 11, 12 years old. So I would pay attention
Yeah.
to the drug dealers' cars. And if I would see their cars in the parking lots and shit like that, I'll go, now I mean, I'll jimmy they shit open and search through their shit, take whatever I find valuable in there. Or if I can't jimmy it open, I'll bust a window. So it's probably a couple drug dealers that from back in the days in the early 90s and shit like that, late 90s, that probably had y'all windows busted open and never know who it. That it was me, probably, most likely.
They gonna be like, "Yo, hold up, man. You seen that interview, man? That's crazy."
Yeah,
But
but I was
you said, but this is 11. This is 11 now, and you said you did 2 years. But when you was in that detention center, you wasn't locked in though. You was able to leave and come back, right?
nah. When I first got there, you there. It ain't no leaving and going back. You there, and now if you make what they call level or whatever, my first facility was a place called Saint Cabrini,
Yeah.
which is across the bridge over going towards Kingston and all of that. So I was in Saint Cabrini, and like you there, if you once you get there, you you can't go home for the first month or whatever, and you gotta earn phone calls in order to call home and shit like that. You gotta earn all of that shit. Everything is earned, nothing was given.
Yeah.
Um every you there with kids from all over New York State. So it was a lot of kids from Buffalo and Syracuse and all the five boroughs. And I mean, and everybody was, and it was a co-ed facility. So it was females and males there. All of us was locked in. And after 30 days, you got to earn your level. And if you earn your level, then you could get what's called a weekend pass. You get your home visit or whatever like that. Well, first you start off, you get an hour pass where your family could come and get you for an hour, and they just got to bring you back in an hour, shit like that. And then if you work yourself up, then you get to go home for the weekend and shit like that. But you still got to come back. You leave on Friday night and you come back Sunday night.
Wow. And this is all at age, you said 12 to
Yeah, I was
14.
12 when I went there.
12 to 14. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I know you said that, you was in school, you know what I'm saying? You was in this accelerator program. What was it called again?
pace.
Pace, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what you think? You think that, because I want to understand like how you could be a kid so intelligent, so smart in school, but when you left school was so mischievous and so like doing stuff like you breaking into cars. Like, what made that kid do that?
Um,
Or was it
really,
just
it
the
was
environment of friends?
like, yeah, like it was like, yo, remember the little fat boy that had like stole his grandmother car and was like going crazy and said and when he got caught, he said he just wanted to do hood rat things with his friends and shit like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was pretty much shit like that, man. Like so my mom's I grew up my mother, she got another child. My sister, she 10 years older than me though. So
yeah,
a lot of influence that I got in life was from her. Like my influence, like music, she put me on the rap music and stuff like that when I was real young or whatever. And
yeah,
she put me onto the rap music, and like the lifestyle that she was living, she wasn't, I ain't gonna say she was in the streets, but she wasn't green to the streets neither. Know what I mean? So
yeah,
seeing then like her boyfriends and stuff like that would come around, they was all street dudes and shit like that or whatever. And they always took a liking to me and shit like that. But my mom, she was always at work or whatever. Like she had to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make sure we was good. So when we came, it was like, yo, all we had was us. So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
just me, my mother, and my sister. And as far as family go, we ain't have no more family in New York that we knew anyway. Know what I mean? Like we
yeah,
ain't have no contact with the family we had in New York. We had distant family. I had a couple cousins and stuff from my father's side, but my mother or my father, we not from New York. Know what I mean? So we ain't really had no family out there. So a lot of things that I did was for me to find acceptance from other people in the neighborhood. Know what I mean? Like the other kids in the neighborhood, whatever they was into was what I was into, just so that we could. Know what I mean, I would have that camaraderie amongst friends or whatever that you build when you're young. Know what I mean, and it was pretty much just most of the time, like 95% of the time, it was just me, and scientific and sincere, and
yeah. It's crazy. It's funny you said that because when I first seen you when I was a kid, that's who I saw you with, Cy.
yeah,
Because me and Cy grew up together. We was in the same grade. We went to elementary school. So when I used to see Cy out there, I'd be like, yo, who's that kid that always with Cy? Oh, that's Billy. They used to say, yo, that's
yeah.
Billy. That was like, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. So I know when you said that part, I remember that vividly because I remember seeing you a lot with Cy when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, like that's who those was my everyday, like those was my everyday day ones, like right there. And I mean, it was other people that was from my neighborhood that we used to hang with and interact with and stuff like that. But mostly it was just me, Sin, and Sai. And then like whenever I had other people in the neighborhood, then my brother Qua, Vaughn.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes he would come around and he would be around with us and shit like that too. But when we was kids, we ain't, we ain't have the tolerance that we learned to have when we got older or whatever. So when we was kids over there, Qua and Sai, they didn't always get along with each other. So
Yeah,
anytime I was with Sai, it was like, yo, Qua and Sai don't get along. I know not to have them two together. Know what I mean?
yeah,
Like when they
yeah,
got older, they we got along, but as when we was
yeah,
kids, them two didn't get along like that. So I didn't really chill with them together. But growing up, those was the three people that I chilled with the most. I would say was Sensei and Qua, and then Tron
yeah.
after that.
Trauma is definitely another one I'm gonna speak to too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but you mentioned your family dynamics. You mentioned your pops. What was your relationship with your pops?
Um, eh, my relationship with my pops was dysfunctional, to say the least. It was I ain't gonna say he wasn't there, but he was there when he wanted to be there, I guess. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like so like like when Christmas would come around, he would always make sure I got it, that he had a Christmas gift or something like that for me. When summertimes in the summertimes he would come and take me home, and so we I would go home every summer. I would go back to Alabama every summer, and
Yeah.
and and that would be pretty much the only time that I spend with my father throughout a year, would be when we go back home for the summer and shit. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was like, other than that, only time I seen him was when it was like when I got in trouble. So it was like, yo, my pops would come around if I get in trouble, because he comes around then he wants to be the disciplinarian. I mean,
I hear
but
you.
depending on what kind of trouble I was getting into. Know what I mean? So when I started getting into fights and stuff like that, my mother would call my father would come around, and he would in front of my mother, he would, play the disciplinarian and shit. But then he would take me with him, like, come on, let's go. And then, when it would be just me and him, he would be like, giving me kudos for that. Like, yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, don't never
Yeah.
let nobody violate. Like, yeah, like get violent, nigga. Know what I mean? So it was like, yo,
Yeah.
when I seen that type of shit and I get that encouragement from my father, now I understand, like, yo, in order for my father to be there, I gotta be getting in trouble. You know what I mean? So, and
Mm.
I think it kind of started. I don't think that consciously I figured that out. I think it was subconsciously, because
Yeah.
anytime I noticed that anytime I would get in trouble, I would just be sitting back like, yo, I'm good. Like, yo, my pops is gonna pull up, and I mean, like, he gonna let me know,
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm good. I mean, like, this ain't that bad. Like, I did what I was supposed to, type shit. I mean, so
Yeah.
I would get in trouble sometimes. I analyzing it, hindsight is the best sight. So me looking as myself now, looking back, I think that a lot of trouble I got in was so that I could get attention from my father.
That's crazy. You said that. And so your mom's was the opposite of that. So how
Yeah,
was your
yeah,
mom
yeah.
when you got in trouble? What was your mom's attitude towards it?
Oh shit! When I got in trouble, my mom's was, my mother was the disciplinarian, and at home the immediate disciplinarian or whatever. So if I would get in trouble, like if she deemed that it was something really like that, I really did some shit I shouldn't have been doing, then yeah, I'll get my ass whooped for it. I'll get put on punishment or whatever. But my mom, she was tough, but she was soft at the same time. So
Yeah.
and she always wanted to make sure that understanding was understood. So even when I got in trouble and she had to thrash me or whatever, she would always come back later and let me know why. Like, yo, listen, this is what it is, and like, yo, I'm just giving you a prerequisite of what it is that you're gonna be facing in life. Know what I mean? Like, you can't do what you want to do in life. There's consequences to your actions and shit. And I'd rather you get your consequences from me and learn right here than you have to go out there and learn the hard way. But like I
Yeah.
said, I was a kid and I dealt more with the motor perpetual learning than I did with the conceptual learning. Know what I mean? So I had to
Yeah.
go touch the fire still. I had to go touch it for myself.
Yeah. Now, who's this kid right here?
That's me right there. That's when that honestly is DFY. That's a detention. That's a juvenile detention facility right there. What I was in, that picture right there is they had what called Photoshop up there. So they was teaching us how to take pictures and develop them ourselves or whatever. So that's
Yeah.
a picture that I developed myself when I was in juvenile detention. I think I was in Goshen or maybe Pius 12 out that way somewhere. But I was probably like um I was probably like 15 in that picture, because I got locked up, and then when I came home, I wound up going right back to a juvenile detention facility. I was home for like 5, 6 months, and then wound up going right back. And that right there is a picture from when I had went back. So I think I was like 15 in that picture right there. Um, already was like, I was already like, in my mind at that point right there, I was already a veteran in the streets. Like,
Yeah.
I was already out there robbing shit and carrying guns and selling drugs and all that type of shit. I already had the police already knew me by face. Like, they see me, they know exactly who I am. I mean, like, I was real familiar. They was real familiar with me, and I was real familiar with crime at that point.
And this is 15 years old. So now
Yeah,
at 15 now, you already this is your second time. You already been there twice now.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You've been there
yeah.
twice. So how long was that second stretch? or if it
two
wasn't
years,
stretch at all. Like, so you did
2 years.
another 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you
it
did
was the sentence was 2 years, and I wound up coming home in like 17 months or something like that. 19 months. Something like 19 months. I wound up coming home in 19 months with that one.
so when you came home that second time, how old are you now? You like what,
I'm
17, 18?
16. I'm 16, about to be 17. No, matter of fact, I'm 17. I'm 17 because when I came home, as soon as I came home I came home right after my 17th birthday. So I was 17 when I came home from there.
And you went in for the same reasons as the first time, out there robbing stuff in cars, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nah. The second time it was for drugs. It was for drugs and it was for drugs and a gun.
Now, what kind
I
of
had
drugs
got.
was you? What kind of drugs you out there selling?
I was selling crack. I was selling crack back then, and I was like, it was the easiest way to make money, man. It was like so easy, and I was saying like yo, I didn't need a lot. Like later on, like back then, grams was it only cost me like $25 to get a gram, and then matter of fact, I think I was paying like $19 for a gram back then,
Yeah,
and so it was like yo, I was just and then I had the dude, one of the dudes I grew up with that I mentioned earlier. You know him, but for the people that don't, some dude that I grew up early in life, Sin. He always had sincere, always had a different mind. Know what I mean, like he always like since we was kids, like his mental mastery was how to get money, was how to
yeah, yeah,
hustle and make money. Like, and he had that mental mastery since we was real little, because he was like the mastermind behind us even selling drugs and shit like that. And I mean, at that age, like he was like, yo, listen, if we put this money together, we could go do this and do this, and then we ain't never gotta ask nobody for nothing. We'd be
yeah,
self-sustainable. Now I mean, like he
yeah,
he had the wits to put it together. He a year older than me, but even at that age, he still was a more advanced, like than the average dude growing up. Like he always had the mentality that, yo, I'm gonna go out and get it, and I love these two niggas. These is my brothers. So whatever I
yeah,
do, they gonna do. We gonna go out and get it. Whatever I
yeah.
learn, I'm gonna teach them, and it was the vice versa. You know what I mean? So, but Sin was the mastermind behind us, as far as us like having the mentality to go out and make money on our own.
Yeah, I remember Sen, because Sen used to be, I think he was the first person I seen with that Mazda MPV joint.
Oh yeah. When
Yeah,
he bought it, it
yeah,
was white, and
yeah,
then he
yeah,
tricked it out with
yeah,
the marble blue and all of that,
yeah,
and got
yeah,
the
yeah,
rims
yeah,
on it and the system and the automatic
yeah,
doors and all of that shit. And that was
yeah,
back in
yeah,
shit. He was 17 when he first got that. When he started doing
yeah,
that, you know what I mean? So yeah. While they
yeah.
was
So
out there getting money, I was running around wild and yeah, running around doing all the wrong shit. He used to always try to tell me like, "Yo, man, you running around doing all this extra shit when you could just be sitting over here collecting money the way I am, but you rather
yeah,
be out here doing this." But sitting down and selling drugs wasn't exciting to me. So it was like, "Yo, I could come over here and sell drugs when I'm bored, but if
yeah,
I got shit to get into, I'm about to go get into that." Know what I mean? And
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit kind of like it didn't. I ain't gonna say it put a wedge between me and Sin, because it never been a wedge between me and Sin. Out of all of the people in life, like me and Sin never ever had no fights, no issues, nothing like that. And I mean, like it always been one way. Like it always been love given, love reciprocated with me and Sin, like since forever. And but he just knew that with what he was doing, he couldn't be around what I was doing, because you can't mix money and violence and shit.
no, 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 no. All right, so now you at the now you like 17, 18 years old now. Now you at the age where if you do something now, probably you going up north.
Yeah. Yep.
You going up north. So what was the first thing you did that sent you up north now? Like that no detention center now. Now you in there with the grown men. You in there with the big dogs now. So what did you what happened at that moment where that sent you up north for your first trip up north?
I had came home.
And how old was you when it happened?
I came home when I was 17. Um, I came home when I was 17. I started selling drugs immediately. Like literally the first day I came home, started selling drugs again. I was home for like 3 weeks and got locked up, caught a cell. I wound up catching a cell up there on Main Street in front of Texas Lunch. I don't know what it's called now, but it was called Texas Lunch back then. And right there on the corner of Main and Cherry. And
Oh yeah, that's right. That's my street. Yeah.
yeah, yep. You lived
Yeah,
at the other
yeah,
corner. That's a
yeah,
fact.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
so down right down the street, there was Texas Lunch down there. I caught a cell right in front of there, like 3 weeks after I came home from DFY. And then when I caught that cell, I got locked up right there, and they put me on what's called house arrest, home electronic monitoring. They put me on that. And
Yeah.
I was on house arrest, and while I was on house arrest, I still was selling drugs, and I ain't give a fuck about the ankle monitor on my leg. Like, I still was outside on Main Street. I was still carrying guns. I was still doing everything I wanted to do. And then while I was on the ankle monitor for a cell, I wound up catching another cell. And that sent me to prison my first time. That was my first bid right there. I went. They only gave me a 1 to 3 for that, and I wound up doing. I wound up doing 14 months off of it.
And you was how old when that happened?
17.
So you were 17. All right. So now I want to stay here for a second. So you 17. I'm sure they probably put you in a county first. You was in the county.
Yeah.
Now, where did they send you though? What was
When
your
I
first
first
prison you went to? When you first went to prison, what was the first prison?
The first prison I went to, well, I went to the reception center downstate, and
Yeah.
then you get your number in downstate. They give you your DIN number, and my first DIN number was I think 97 7617 or 1376, some shit like that. And then you get your number, and then they send you to your next facility. And my first facility after downstate was Elmira
Elmira.
Correctional Facility. They sent me up there, and it was an accident because it was another inmate that had the same name as me, and he had 15 years to do. And
Oh,
he was supposed to go to that jail. So they sent me to Elmira, and they wind up sending him to a jail called Marcy Correctional Facility, which is where they were supposed to send me. So then,
Elmira, that's a max, right?
yeah, that's a max. So I was there. They sent me to Elmira with a 1 and 3.
Yo,
So
so you 17 in Elmira in a max. How long did you stay there though? Did
they
they
wound
figure it
up
out?
figuring it. I was there for 2 months before they figured out their mistake. So
Wow.
I was there for 2 months, and the reason they figured it out is because when my counselor called me down to talk to me, and the other dude in the other facility, his counselor called him down, and they was telling me how much time I had. I'm like, no, the fuck I don't. And they like, yeah. And I'm like, nah, like, nah, you got the wrong person. I got 1 to 3 years. Like, I don't have this 15. He had 15 to life. So it's like, yeah, that's not me. That's not the same. It's not the same. So they figured that shit out. And then they wound up sending him, they wound up transferring him to Elmira. And then they sent me to a facility that was in the same hub as Marcy, but it was called damn, what the fuck was the name of that prison? They filmed a movie there back in the days, Jack Nicholson and them, called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. That was a max too, though, right?
It was a max and a medium at the same time. One side of it was a max, the other side was a medium. And that was the
Sullivan, not Sullivan.
nah, not Sullivan. It was in Oneida. Oneida, that was the name of
Oh,
it.
but
Yeah,
before we even get to that prison, take me back to Elmira though. So you 17, right?
yeah.
What's your first day in Elmira like?
Oh man, my first day at Elmira was crazy, man. Yo, literally my first hour at Elmira was crazy. So you get off the bus or whatever, you go into the reception center where they bring all the inmates in so they could unshackle you and give you your belongings and send you, I mean, your location. So when you go off to wherever you going or whatever. So we in there, wherever. They giving us our mattress and all of that shit, telling us what blocks we going to, and then they got the porters that's gonna take you to the block. The porters is other inmates that their job is to, clean up and do whatever is needed to be done around the reception area that they work. So the porter is taking me to my cell. They told me, yo, I'm gonna be on the flats, F block, F213 was my cell. As they wheeling me through the cell blocks and shit. When they get to F block, the porter dude, he's talking to me, but the whole time he was talking to me in Spanish because he thought I was Dominican. So so he thought I was Dominican, so he talking to me in Spanish, but I understand a little bit of Spanish, and I mean, like I grew up speaking a little bit of Spanish and shit, so I was able to understand a little bit of what he was saying and have minimal conversation with him. But then when we got to my cell block, he like yo, this is your cell block right here, and he like yo, this is he was like yo, you small, you young. He was like they're gonna have you locked in for a couple of days, and then when you see the sergeant, you tell him to come out and tell him that you Latin King, so that they could put you over here with us and we make sure you good and shit. Cause he really thought I was Dominican and shit. So he like, yo, we look out for our own in here. So instantly, I like me thinking, me being the person that I am, I always was mental. Like I always analyze shit and put shit together and shit. Know what I mean? So the first thing I thought was like, yo, the Spanish niggas really stick together in here. I hope the black niggas stick together the way these dudes, because when he find out I ain't Spanish, he gonna be on the other shit with me. Know what I mean? Like, so so now, mind you, at this time I'm already gangbanging and shit. Like I was already blood. It wasn't really money. It wasn't really many bloods in the state at that time or whatever. So at that time, the Bloods and the Latin Kings was at war with each other. And so
now wait. Now stop right there. Wait, before you even continue. Now you said you was blood at that time.
Yeah.
When did you turn blood? In prison or when you was in the streets?
Nah, I turned blood when I was in DFY, when I was in correctional facility as a juvenile.
And who introduced you to that?
The little brother of one of the big homies that was on Rikers Island. So I was there, and I don't want to say his name because he's still active out there right now, even after all these years. He's still active out there. But it was I'm gonna just say Bang, dude named Bang that I was in the facility with, and one of his older brothers was the big homie at that time. Since then that dude he passed away. Since then he wound up getting killed by the police and the fire department and shit out in Staten Island years later.
That's the guy who introduced you to being a blood. He got killed.
No, the dude who introduced me, his big brother, who was the big homie, one of the original, one of the first 10 bloods ever in New York State type shit.
Yeah.
So his little brother was the dude that put me on and introduced me to that lifestyle or whatever. So I started doing the blood shit when I was like 15.
Yeah.
So like we was young, we wasn't even supposed to be doing it yet, because at that time they had a rule where you had to be 18 in order to be blood. But we was like, yo, fuck that. And he had the sanction from his older brother, because even though we was young, he had a different mentality. You know what I mean? Like his mental was there where he was able to, so the way that he gave it to me, he laid it out to me the way it was supposed to be laid out. So it wasn't no room for deviation away from what his brother had laid out for him. You know what I mean? Like, and he let me know, like, those are the rules and that's the way it is. And anything other than that is not this. You know what I mean? That's something else. So don't get involved with nothing that ain't this over here. This is what it is, and that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Now, when it comes to joining the Bloods, what's the process? Like, did they say, yo, you down with us? Or is it like a like an initiation or something?
I mean, back then it was definitely an initiation. It was definitely you had to, what they call, quote unquote, put in some work or whatever. So being that we was in the facility that we was in, our putting in work was pretty much just beating people up and shit. You had a couple people that was getting cut on the facility and shit like that. And at that time, the juveniles, like where I was at, we wasn't really cutting shit up yet. Like I said, you had a few people that was cutting shit up. Like every now and then you might get somebody that get cut up or something like that. You might get somebody that get poked up in the facility and shit, but it wasn't and that was happening all the time. But we was fighting every day. Like we was in there fighting every day. So sometimes it was just like, yo, like at that point it was just me and Bang, and it was me, Bang, and two Spanish dudes. They was brothers and shit. And they was really going through it because they was Spanish and they was blood. And like I said, at that time, the Bloods and the Latin Kings was at war with each other. So they used to really go through it. So we was always, a lot of the shit that we was getting into at that time in the juvenile facility, it was over the two little Spanish homies, because the Latin Kings would be trying to put pressure on them, or the Nietas, and then they had some other shit called Matatanya back then. And which
this is still in the detention center you talking about?
Yeah. Listen, the detention center, and I've been in every I've been in every max prison in New York, pretty much. I've been in Attica, Elmira, Comstock, Sing Sing, Elmira, fucking at 5 Points. I mean, you name it, I've been there, right? But
Yeah.
fucking the juvenile facilities is worse than every facility that I've ever been in. And
I keep hearing that the young dudes is the ones
yeah,
that get into the fights with.
yeah, like the young
Yeah.
niggas is different. I ain't gonna hold you, it's different. Like it's really gladiator school for real. Like back then, anyway. I don't know how it is now, but the detention centers when I was young, growing up in the '90s and shit, early '90s,
Yeah.
that shit, them shits was it was rough. It was rough.
So tell me though. Now we're gonna go back to Elmira real quick because you was in there. They brought you. So you end up going with the Latin Kings for a little bit, right?
Nah. Just that
Oh, you
first
never
day
went.
that he bringing me there. Yeah, the first day
Yeah.
that the porter is Latin King, and he's taking
Yeah.
me to my cell block, and so he could
Yeah.
take me to my cell and shit. And he's pulling a cart that got my mattress and my bag on it. So
Yeah.
now as we get into my cell block, he like, yo, listen, this your cell block. Yo, listen, you're gonna see the sergeant. When you see the sergeant, tell the sergeant you Latin King, and he gonna put you on the cell block with us. And I'm just telling him, I'm like, all right, but in my head, I'm like, nigga, hurry up and get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? Like, fuck out of here. I don't know what y'all niggas got going on. I need to sit back and watch the situation
Yeah.
and do the knowledge to my environment. But now as we get in there, my cell, like I said, they was taking me to F2 13 on the flats. So as soon as we come in the F block, my cell is like one of the first 5 cells. But now as we're going to my
What's the
cell,
flat? What's the flats though? What's that?
flats is the cell block, is the block that's at the bottom of the cell block. So
Floor. Okay.
every cell block got like 4 or 5 tiers going up. So the
Yeah.
flat is the bottom tier,
Okay.
meaning you
Yeah.
can't get thrown off the balcony on here over
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All
yeah,
right. So they take you there, right?
yeah.
What happened when he realized you wasn't a Latin King though?
Nah, listen, let me get to this though.
All right,
As I'm getting to my, like I said, they taking me to F2 13. Now, F2 is the second cell as far as inmates going, but it's like the 5th cell on the block because the first couple cells is for cleaning equipment, mops and mop buckets and brooms and shit like that is in that first cell, and then like the slop sink is in another cell, and then it's a cell, and then my cell is the next cell. But cell 1, it's a Spanish dude that he's at the he's in the cell. It's a Spanish dude cell. He's in the cell, and then it's a Muslim dude outside the cell, and he's talking to the dude in the cell, like, yo, man, da, 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 like, yo, and I guess they arguing over a TV. The dude that was in the cell was about to leave the facility, and he had a TV that he was supposed to leave to the Muslim dude that was in front of his cell, but he wound
Yeah.
up leaving the TV to somebody else, but the Muslim dude had already paid him for it. So
Uh,
now, as I'm walking down, mind you, this is my introduction to Elmira. I wasn't even here for an hour yet. So as I'm walking down, the dude is in this cell, and I got to go to the cell right next to him. The dude like, yo, man, you was supposed to give me the TV. Know what I mean? The nigga was like, yo, man, like, yo, I don't know what you want me to do. They already packed my shit up. I already gave the TV away. I can't give you your money back because I already packed my shit up. So the nigga was like, so you just telling me, so I'm just dead on my money, fuck me, right? And he like, nah, if you give me an address. And while he was talking, yo, this Muslim dude pulled a fucking, this ice pick this shit had to be about 10 inches long, man. He pulled this shit out and jammed this shit right in the dude's eye. Boom! Hit him right in the eye. The
oh,
scream that this dude let out was fucking some shit you never gonna forget. If you heard this shit, you would never forget this shit. It was, I call it a death scream. Now I mean, like,
oh,
yo, it was a death scream because the dude wound up dying. Now I mean, so I
crazy.
said, like, yo, I heard this dude scream, like that was his soul screaming and shit. Now I mean, but that
And
was
you
my
17.
introduction. Huh?
You 17 right now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you see that happen. You go into your cell now. So you sit in your cell. What you thinking now after just seeing that for the first time? Because I know you was out there wilding, but that was a whole other level.
Yo, that was different, right? So now listen, right? So now they take me in my cell, and literally I'm in the cell right next door to the nigga that just got stabbed in the eye. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Yo, I'm in here like, yo, what the fuck? So the dude who dropping me off, he was like, yo, Potty, just take your shit and go in there, hurry up and shut your door, Potty. Just make your bed, man. You don't know what's going on. You ain't see nothing, man. I'm getting the fuck out of here. So he spent
Yeah.
off and went his way. When I'm in
Oh
the
my.
cell, and I'm like, yo, man, this shit is bugged out. So then they come rush the cell or whatever. Somebody walk by, see the nigga stabbed up in the cell. They call for the CO call. They get him down to the infirmary or whatever, and they never brought him back. And then like a week or something later, when I was able to come in the population, I heard the
Yeah.
story that he wound up dying in the infirmary and shit like that. I don't know personally if that was what was happening, but that's what I was told when I was able
Yeah.
to come in the population. But now, so when I get to Elmira, I'm on quarantine. Quarantine is when you first come to a max facility, they keep you locked in your cell for the first week, and then you got to come out and have what's called a sergeant's review. That's where you
Yeah.
go down and you sit in the office with a sergeant and he asks you a bunch of questions that's on a sheet of paper, like, yo, you thinking about suicide or, I mean, shit like that, to see if you're able to come out in the population and be amongst regular inmates or shit like that. And, or if you need to go to PC or anything like that. That's where they
Yeah.
figure it out right there at the sergeant's review. So at the sergeant's review, he's asking me like, yo, he's like, yo, man, you a little guy, man. He was like, yo, um, he was like, you look, he said the same thing. He was like, yo, you look Spanish. He was like, you want to go over here with the Latin kings and shit with the Spanish guys? And I was like, nah, I don't want to, don't send me over there. So he was like, yo, you in a gang? And I was like, yeah, I'm blood. So he was like, yo, he was like, oh shit. He was like, yo, listen, shut the door. Cause I had the door open. He was like, shut the door. So I shut the door. He was like, yo, listen, don't tell nobody else in this fucking jail that you are blood, because the Bloods is at war with every other gang in this jail and they are losing.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, he said the Bloods is at war with every other gang in this jail and they are losing. And they're losing every day. These guys are getting cut up, and I'm seeing some of the worst shit ever. And it's always one of these dudes that's supposed to be blood. And at this time, it wasn't many Bloods in New York State. And the ones that was up there, a lot of them wasn't letting it be known that they was blood. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and it was because they really had beef with everybody. Like it was beef with the Latin Kings, it was beef with the Muslims, it was beef with the 5%ers at that time. This was in the mid 90s. So
Yeah.
like yeah, it was beef with the 5%ers at that time. It was beef with everybody you could think about. The Bloods had beef at the same time. So it was other gangs that was grouping up on them. Like niggas wasn't letting it be known. Like it wasn't, only a few niggas in the jail was letting it be known if they was blood and shit. And then
Yeah.
so I was there for 2 months. I wound up my when I came off quarantine that first day, I wound up running into an older dude from my hood, nigga Sean Getz. I wound up running into Getz one day. I was coming from the mess hall, and as I was coming in my cell, his block, he was upstairs. His tier was going, his gallery was going to the mess hall. So he seen me. So then he stops in front of my cell and he just standing there looking at me. So when I notice him, I look back and I'm like, yo, what's up? And he was like, yo, what's up, young nigga? He was like, yo, what's up, young nigga? Yo, the funny shit is you look like Getz a lot, man. Especially, yo, while you got your glasses on smiling right now, you look like Getz. But yeah, he looked at me like, yo, man, what's up, young nigga? He was like, man, I know your young ass got life. He was like, who you killed, man? And I'm like, I'm like, nah, nigga, I just got a 1-3. He was like, you got a 1-3 and they sent you here? I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, man. He was like, man. He was like, yo, you good though. Don't even worry about it. You good, man. And he was in a cell. He had a cellmate named Heartless, and he was blood. And
Yeah.
so he wound up putting me on the Heartless, and we wound up being the same set. We both, and matter of fact, his cellmate was Unique, nigga named Unique. And Unique
Yeah.
was blood, and then Unique used to always be with Heartless. And I wound up chilling with Unique and Heartless and Getz, and that's how I chilled with them for the whole 2 months I was there, whatever. And I was good, and they put me on. But me and Unique wound up being in the same set and shit. We both was 5'9" Brim, and
Yeah.
so yeah, like that. So I wound up being able to learn a lot of shit from them just in that brief time that I was with them for that 2 months at Elmira. They teaching me, the proper prison etiquette and shit like that, because you come up there coming straight from the streets and you never been in those behind those walls and locked in behind those gates. It's a different environment. So the shit that you're used to, you gotta relearn. You got to
Yeah. Yeah.
relearn how to survive here now. Know what I mean? Because it's a lot of rules. It's a lot of politics when it comes to prison, especially when you're dealing with gangs and shit.
Now, what's the first rule when you was up there that you didn't realize you was breaking, but somebody had to tell you like, nah, don't move like that or do it like this? What was the first? What was one of the rules up there?
Um, the I yo the one of the things that one of the things that I kept doing kept putting myself, I kept getting involved in situations that didn't have nothing to do with me. So it was
Yeah.
people that was in the prison that was from the town, and just because they was from the town, I will get myself involved in their situations, even though them situations ain't have nothing to do with me. And that was the one thing that I needed. That was the biggest lesson that I had to learn, was to stop putting myself in the line of fire for dudes just because we from the same hood. Now I mean, like, and
Yeah.
it's like, yo, because
Yeah.
once you go home, you and this dude, even though y'all from the same hood, you just put your life on the line from this nigga. Now, once you go home, this dude
Yeah.
will see you, and the only words he got for you is "what's up" and keep it moving. After you done
Yeah.
say this
Yeah.
nigga
Yeah.
life in there, and I mean,
Word.
like, so that was
Word.
the biggest lesson that I had to learn. And I say that that was an unsaid rule that that nobody ever taught me. I had to learn for myself.
Yeah. 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 So when you left, so when you left Elmira after the 2 months, you went to what was the
Oh,
prison you said?
Nida.
Oneida. Now over there, now what was it? I'm sure from leaving Elmira going there, it's probably a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, a little bit more, but the thing about that was Oneida, like I said, it was a half max, half medium. One half was max and one half was medium. But all of the dudes that came there came from maxes. So even though it was half max, half medium, it's pretty much like I was still in the same setting. The only difference was I ain't have to be locked in a cell all day now. So
Oh, okay.
you just in a cube and you get to roam around freely with the other inmates and shit like that. But the mentality was still the same, and the level of danger was still the same, if not more dangerous, because you ain't got nowhere to close yourself in to get away from everybody. You gotta be out here. You gotta be on the front line at all times. Like, you don't get no days off with that shit. You know what I mean? Especially being
Yeah.
involved in the gangs and shit like that. You really gotta be on point, because it's you dealing with, when you in those type of facilities, those facilities hold 1,500 people. So
Yeah.
you dealing with 1,499 different personalities that you got to deal with every single day, not including the COs that go home and deal with shit and then bring their bullshit home from home back into work, and you got to worry about. So it's everybody. Your mentality starts to shift to. That's when you start to realize, like, yo, listen, there's one person on my name tag, one person on my ID. Regardless to whatever it is that's going on, I'm here by myself, and I got to make sure that I do what I need to do in order to go home, because I need to
Yeah.
go home the same way I came in this motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so you mentioned the COs though. How do COs treat a 17-year-old dude in prison for the first time? Like, what's the attitudes from the COs?
um, I can't speak for everybody's experience, but from me, I understood real fast that them COs don't give a fuck about us, and is literally open racism.
Mm.
The further you go up, the more open it is and the more blatant it is. And them COs, like, when I was leaving Elmira and they was sending me to Oneida, you gotta get shackled up and shit like that, right? And they
Yeah.
shackle you up and shit like that. So when I was getting transferred, I was the only inmate that was leaving Elmira that day, going to my destination. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting shackled in a little pen by myself. And a
Yeah.
CO comes in. He just fresh coming in to work, and he got his cup of coffee and shit. And he's walking past me, and another CO said some crazy shit to him. And I started laughing, like, oh shit. Know what I mean? And the motherfucker walked over to me like, yo, what the fuck you laughing at? He was like, I'll throw this hot cup of coffee in your face. And I was like, I mean, what you want me to do? What you want me to say? Like, you feel tough about it? If that'll make you feel better, do the shit. Know what I mean? And he did it. He took that top off that coffee and splashed me right in my face with that shit. It wasn't as
Wow.
hot as it could have been, but it was still hot enough to make me feel some type of way. Know what I mean? But
Yeah. 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 That's great. And that was still at the same age, 17 years old.
yeah,
17 years old. You know what I'm saying? You come home. You came home at what age? When you did that second time? That was the first time.
the
You came
second
home at
time,
what
the
age?
second time I came home, I was 17.
You came home at 17.
Yeah, and then went back at 17.
Then
That's when
went
I
back.
went to prison.
Oh, you went to prison. All right. So you get out of prison, right?
Yeah,
After doing
when I came home from prison that time, I was 18.
Mhm.
And I was 18. Yeah, I was 18 when I came home from prison that time.
So when you came home, how many times in between that time now, I guess from age 18 to your last stint was when? When you came out for the final time, what was that though?
I came home 2018. I caught that bid in 2010.
Yeah. So you how many times since from 17 to 2018,
18
how many times you went in and out?
twice.
Twice.
Yeah,
So what was
two arrests. That's it. I got 7 years on the after that. After I got the 1 to 3, my next bid was 7 years, and then after that, my next bid was 8 years.
Okay. So it really wasn't that many times. I mean, it was in and out, but you did 2 stretches.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about. So when you went in for that 7-year one, that was after you came home when you was
That
when
was
you
that was 14 months after I came home from doing the first bid, the first 1 to 3. I got 3 state numbers. The first 1 to 3, that's when I came home. That's when I went to Elmira and I came home and I was 18. I had just turned 18. Matter of fact, I was probably like 18 and a half. And then I was home. By the time I was 19, on my 19th birthday, I was back in downstate.
and that was for the stretch for the 7
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Now what happened? What did you do to get 7 no this time? Or was that because you already had priors and they just kind of hey,
Yeah.
like we're gonna
So
teach you a
what
lesson
happened
type of thing?
was I did a home invasion, and I did a home invasion and wound up taking some shit and wound up getting caught for the shit. And they gave me 7 years for that, for the home invasion.
And when you did that 7 years, where was the first prison they sent you now though after that?
Marcy. My first
Marcy.
prison from there was Marcy Correctional Facility.
And how much? Cause I know they move y'all around. Being
Yeah,
that you had, yeah. So you
I
had
was
7.
there.
So
I was in Marcy for like a year and a half, and then they
yeah,
sent me to Washington Correctional Facility. And Washington Correctional Facility, when they sent me there, it was like sending me to Poughkeepsie.
yeah. Or Matt. So why you say that? Why you say it was like sending you to Poughkeepsie?
It was a whole bunch of Poughkeepsie niggas there. So it was like when I got there, it was just like, oh shit, there go the nigga Preem. Know what I mean? So it was like, oh shit, I pulled up and it was like, oh shit. I started saying so immediately, like soon as I got off the bus, it was a nigga that was working in the draft, like, yo, like, oh shit, like, yo, Preem. And I'm like, yeah, what up? And he was like, I ain't recognize him. I'm like, yo, what up? And he was like, yo, you from Poughkeepsie, right? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, yo, you don't remember me? It was a nigga that I was in juvenile detention with and shit.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
so he was like, yo,
Yeah.
he was like, oh, you gonna be lit. He was like, yo, it's mad niggas from your town here and shit. And I'm like, word. He was like, yeah. And I'm thinking like, yo, that could be a gift or a curse because I did shit to a lot of people. So it depends on who this is up in here,
Yeah.
depending on how this is gonna go. But it was all love though.
Yeah. Now when you went in there though, when was the like? Because when you I should have asked you that when you went in at 17. Did they try you at that first time when you went in, or did you get eventually you got tried in prison though?
Honestly, I never. Yo, listen, right? I had all the years I did in prison, right? I had 2 issues
Yeah,
that involved me, that involved like me having an issue directly with another nigga. Know what I mean? Only 2
yeah,
times in all of those years. And so it wasn't like, nah, nobody tried me, but one time I ain't gonna front. One time when I was in Washington, um, Correctional Facility, dude, we was playing basketball and shit. We was out in the yard and we playing basketball. And it was this Muslim dude named Alpo. Shout out to Alpo, man. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but dude from Syracuse named Alpo, not the rat nigga from Harlem or whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah.
dude named Alpo from Syracuse and shit, young nigga. Me and him we was cool and shit. He was Muslim and shit, but he was kind of off a little bit. He had a hard life and shit. But anyway, we was all playing basketball out there one day, and you know I play basketball. I talk my shit. We from the town. We talk shit. We get crazy. Now, yeah, nigga, what? I bust your ass. Yeah, this thing can't fuck with me. You know all that type of shit or whatever. So I don't know what he was going through that day, but I'm talking my shit, and I'm like, yeah, nigga, check. And I check the ball, and I turn around, and when I turn around to get the ball back, I turn around to grab the ball, and this dude just punched me in my face. Boom. Yo, I laugh about that shit all the time. Yo, this dude just yo, that shit was hilarious. So when
he punched you just because y'all was because he ain't like the way you was talking when y'all was playing basketball.
Nah, he punched me in my face because I was talking so much shit that, and I was like so hyped because I was really like busting ass. Know what I mean? So I'm hyped. And you know, he used to seeing me all mellow and cool and shit. The only time he ever seen me hype like that is when I was going to get into some shit. So like I said, me and the dude was cool. We used to chill with each other all the time. So when I spent the round, he thought I was about to attack him for some reason. I don't know what, like I said, he was off a little bit. So when I spent the round, he jabbed me, boom, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was confused. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he was like, you was about to hit me. And I was like, so I was like, what the fuck made you think I was about to hit you? Like, what the fuck? So
and that was the first stint or the second one?
That was on my second bid right there.
Oh, 7 years.
Yeah. So it was like that when he did the shit, you see all the homies start coming from everywhere on the yard and shit. So I'm laughing, but I'm like, yo, my nigga, you just punched me in my face in the yard for no reason. We gotta fight now. Know what I mean? So he was like, yo, no, we don't gotta fight, nigga. I thought you was about to hit me. It was an accident type shit. So so I'm like, yo, all right, cool, whatever. So, but now the homies is getting around and shit. So I'm just trying to tell the homies, like, yo, chill, leave him. He good. Like, we good. Come on, nigga. Check, play basketball. So I'm like trying to get him back into the game before the homies do something to him and shit. So it was just some funny shit.
Yeah. And you said the second time, you said you only had 2 incidents. So that was
the
one.
Second time I was in Clinton Correctional Facility. And I was up there. Matter of fact, your cousin was there with me, nigga. Nigga PR shit. Oh wait, no, that's your brother.
That was my brother.
Yeah. That's your brother. Your brother was up there with me and shit. Matter of fact, PR. But when I first got there, it was a dude that I was in another facility with that I had did something to. And so when I first got to Clinton Correctional Facility, the dude that I had did something to was there, and you know he was there for a while, so he was blood too. And but because he was there for a while, he had the homies was familiar with him. They knew him. So I'm coming, they don't know me. Know what I mean? So they're going to be more on his side than, you know, you're going to have some that think like, yo, let's find out what happened or whatever. But the majority of the niggas was going to be on his side because he was already there with them already. Know what I mean? So when I came, I had that issue right there but that shit was handled quick because it was a bunch of niggas from the hood there. You know what I mean? Like I said, your brother was there, Haiti was there, which is my brother. Fucking you had Demetrius, Marksman's son, he was there. You had rest in peace, you had Chaz from Newburgh, the chief. Chief was up there. It was a few niggas, but the niggas that was there, we was solid. Know what I mean? Like we wasn't going for no bullshit. Know what I mean? So it was like, yo, if you here, nigga, we here together. Know what I mean? Like you from the hood, we from the hood. Whatever differences we may have had in the streets, that shit is besides us now. Know what I mean? Like, cause know what I mean? Like at that time, your brother, he was loking too. He was gangbanging and shit. Know what I mean? And I was like, I don't give a fuck what that nigga is. That nigga from my hood, and ain't nothing going down. Know what I mean? Like, so we was there and we was there together. It was a camaraderie and shit. Matter of fact, Donovan was there too. So
he told me my brother told me, because my brother was in the first episode. He told me that he ran into old Diggs is what kind of gave him the ropes in Clinton when he was in there.
Yeah, Diggs was there. Diggs was in the main and shit. When he first when your brother first got there, he went to the main and shit, and then he got sent to the annex. I was with your brother in the annex, but I was with old Diggs in the main and shit too. So definitely he definitely ran into Diggs doing there.
Now Clinton. Now I always hear crazy stuff. Out of all of the places you've been to, is Clinton the wildest? I think my brother mentioned Clinton ain't the wild. I think because my brother mentioned Clinton. I think Clinton was the wildest for him. But you've been to all of them.
Yeah. See, your brother did most of his time in Clinton. Like when he went up, that was his first prison, and he wound up. I think he wound up. If I'm not mistaken, I think he wound up going home from there. So he only got.
No. He went to Clinton, but then he went to Mount McGregor, Sullivan,
Oh, so his
and
classification was dropping and shit.
it was dropping. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I know he spent most of his time because we was in Clinton together for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. And when I went to go I remember seeing that big wall. The Clinton got that big wall up there, Gannon Wall.
Yep.
So what was the wildest prison you was at though?
The wildest prison I was at wasn't even a max, bro. It was a medium, and it was whatever that last prison I just came home from was. What the fuck was it? It wasn't Bear Hill. It was
I remember Bear Hill too. Yeah.
Bear Hill was wild, but the wildest prison in the state is a medium, and it's the prison right across the street from Attica. I forgot the name of that shit, man.
Attica's in Buffalo, right?
Yeah, it's up that way. Yeah. I was in Attica too. I was in Attica with a couple of the older dudes from New York. I mean, from Poughkeepsie that had a lot of time in and shit like that. Like you had Eagle Beak that was there. Beak had in like 20 something years by the time I got there. He had like 20 something years there just at that facility. And he home now. Shout out to Beak. I don't know what he into, but yeah. But yeah, the wildest prison I was in was whatever that prison I just came home from was. I don't remember the last, like it was 2018. I came home. Franklin, I think it was Franklin.
Oh, Frank. Oh yeah, my brother went to Franklin too. Yeah, Frank.
That shit.
Yeah.
Yo, man, listen, them young niggas was off the hook, and I knew it was going down. That when I got to Franklin, I'm coming from a max. When I got to Franklin, I had 67 days left to go home. I said, listen, I'm going home in 67 days. I'm coming here to chill. But at the time when I got there, I was still gangbanging and shit. And the set that I was repping was at war with another set. And it was like the biggest gang war that Bloods that went down and took place in New York. Know what I mean? So when I got there, and then I'm the big homie. Know what I mean? So now I come there, I'm the big homie, and I'm like, yo, I got 67 days left. I'm gonna come here and fly under the radar. And I mean, just get in and get out of this shit. This a medium. I don't like these fucking mediums. I would rather be in a max. Know what I mean? Like, but it is what it is. 67 days, I ain't beefing. Man, I was in population for 5 fucking days, 5 days, and wind up getting into some shit and cutting the dude in the yard, and I wind up getting caught. And fucking now my 67 days has the it's a chance that my 67 days is about to turn into another 6 years now. Know what I mean? Because now I just get caught cutting a nigga in the yard and shit, and I'm about to go home in 67 days. Stupid ass shit. But it was some gang shit, and it wasn't even like I went looking for it. I really was like I said, trying to fly under the radar and mind my business. But because of all the years that I've been back there doing the shit that I've been doing, and because of what my status was in the gang, people knew me that I didn't know. Know what I mean? So the bad news traveled fast. When I got to the prison, people, I seen a couple people in the mess hall that I knew, and that was all it took. And people spread the word through the whole jail. Now the whole jail is looking like they know I'm in the building. Even if they don't know who I am, they know I'm in the building. So that means even the opposition knows I'm in the building. Now all they got to do is figure out who I am, and then they could make a move. Know what I mean? So that it pretty much was a situation like that. I was just there under the TV talking to dudes from the town, from Poughkeepsie and Newburgh. I'm chilling with Poughkeepsie. I'm not even chilling with the gang niggas. I'm chilling with hometown niggas. And I just see a group of niggas walking towards me, and I ain't even paying attention to the shit. I see them walking towards me, and then the dudes that I'm with, like, yo, be on point, man. These niggas is up to something. And when they said that shit, I figured it out. And as they was taking action, I ain't had no choice but to take action also. I mean, and I'll just wind up getting the like, you know, things always work out for me. That's the best thing I can say. Things always work out for me in those type of situations because I don't panic. I kind of like go into like a focused environment. And I mean, like everything when I get in those situations, my focus changes. So it's like, yo, I'll be really like focused on what I need to do in order to make it out of this situation in a favorable position and shit. So
Yeah.
I wound up getting the razor from one of the dudes, and I wound up cutting the dude. And as I'm cutting him, and I spin to cut the other dude, the COs come and they rush y'all on this shit. So they catch me. I get to slip the razor in one of the other dudes' shirt pocket and shit like that. But I wound up getting caught, and the CO seen me cutting him, so he wrote that on a disciplinary report. I got that shit around here somewhere. Yeah, he wound up seeing me, and it was like, yo, when I went to my hearing for that. They had a civilian do my hearing, and the civilian was like, yo, listen, we see you about by the time they did my hearing, I was going home. I think I had like 59 days to go home or some shit. And they was like, yo, man, we just gonna let you go home. We just gonna keep you in the box until you go home. But we see you about to leave. We ain't gonna give you no more time. We see you got all this time in, and your last disciplinary infraction. And that's what really saved me, is that the last time I had got caught cutting somebody was like 5 years prior to that. So it was like, yo, you ain't had no violent tickets in 5 years. Like we gonna assume that you was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that this wasn't meant for you. You know what I mean? And they just let me do the time. But now, the day before I was supposed to go home, they let me out the box and they send me back to population, and they put me in a fucking dorm with the dude who I cut. They put me in a dorm with his brother the day before I'm supposed to go home.
So what happened with dinner? You fighting in there, or you was able to just get through that day?
I was just able to get through that day, man. And it was like, yo, I was glad that I was able to get through that day, because when I came in there, when I came to the door, they let me out the van. They took me out the box. They let me out the van. I buzzed the buzzer to come in, and one of the dudes came to the door, and he looked out and seen me, and he was like, oh shit. He was like, yo, you can't live here. And I was like, what? And he was like, yo, you might as well tell him that you can't live here. Don't come in here. And I'm like, man, go get the fucking CO. So now I'm pressing the buzzer. I'm spazzing on the buzzer. So the CO finally comes. He opens the door. I don't even unpack or nothing. I put my shit. I like, yo, where my cell? He tell me what cube I'm in. I put my shit in the cube, and I go straight to the dude who told me I couldn't live here. Like, yo, what's up? Come in the bathroom, man. Like, yo, what you talking about? Know what I mean? He like, yo, he like, nah, I don't got no beef with you, but the dude who you cut, his brother is here, and niggas ain't just gonna. I'm like, yo, his brother don't know who I am unless you tell him though. And if you tell him, that mean you want some opposition shit. So we might as well get to what we need to get to right now. Know what I mean? So he was like, yo, nah, yo, your secret's safe with me. But I ain't like the way he said it. He made me feel like I was a sucker the way he said it, like, yo, your secret is safe with me. And then I was like, yo, fuck it. And I just went into the middle of I went out into the middle of the rec room, and I was like, yo, my name Ryder Brim. I'm Bloodhound Brim. What's up? Somebody in here got an issue with me? Like, because I go home tomorrow. Anybody that got an issue with me in here, we might as well go in the bathroom and get that shit off our chest right now. Whatever gonna happen, because like I said, I go home tomorrow. I ain't trying to be sitting up watching, waiting for niggas to try to make some sneak move. Let's just get straight to it so we could get to the box. I don't give a fuck one way or another. I go home tomorrow. So as long as I don't kill one of you niggas, I'm still going home tomorrow. I don't give a fuck what. So whatever it's gonna be, let it be that right now. Let's get to it, because I ain't with all of this. I don't like to feel unsafe. I want to know if it's an issue. Bring that shit to me direct. Pardon me. And the dude came to me direct, like, yo, what happened? You know what I mean? Like, yo, that was my little brother that you cut. Like, what happened? And I'm like, I let him know what happened. Like, yo, this is what it is. Like, what's up? And he was like, yo, man, nah, I know how my little brother is and shit like that. But yo, this was the situation. What I didn't know was somebody had already cut his little brother. The dude that cut his little brother was somebody that was under me. Now, I didn't know the person that was under me, but I'm the big homie.
Yeah.
So anybody that's under that set that I was pushing, they under me, because I'm the big homie in the jail. So because one of my little homies that I didn't even know, still to this day, don't know who cut this nigga, they had cut him and then ran off. They didn't handle it the way they were supposed to. Because when you cut niggas in the yard, I mean, I ain't trying to get into the negative shit, but I got to give it to you raw.
No, you do it. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so when I was in prison, it was a protocol to when you go to put in work. So if I'm gonna be the nigga doing the cutting and you coming with me, I'm gonna cut him as many times as I could cut him, and I'm gonna walk away. When I walk away, your job is to punch him in his face and start a fight with him, so that I could get away with the weapon. As long as you don't get caught with a weapon, you can't get charged with nothing. So
Okay.
I do the cutting and walk away with the weapon. When I walk away and I get safe, you pop off so that way he can't follow me, so I can't get caught with this weapon. They
Yeah.
didn't do that. They cut the
Yeah.
dude and then kept it moving and left this dude here to walk around the yard and do whatever he wanted to do. So
Oh,
now he
okay.
walks around the yard and he sees me not paying him no attention. Obviously, I don't know what's going on. And they like, yo, let's get him. That's their big homie. And now
Yeah.
they start coming towards me. But it ain't no
Yeah.
easy meat over here. I ain't never been no easy meat. Every prison I ever been in, I put in work, and I ain't bragging about it or nothing, but I just ain't
Yeah.
never been no easy meat. They found that shit out the hard way.
Yeah. Now, when you said that, I see that's another thing you just taught me too. I didn't know, like when I talk to other dudes, they'll tell me like when it comes to somebody like stabbing somebody in jail, they usually do a thing where they float the weapon around where they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
nobody.
you could float, but
Yeah.
that's more of an inside situation right there. Or like yo, if we in the mess hall and shit like that, and we on the line in the mess hall, and I decide I want to hit you in the line on the mess hall, I'll hit you, and then we'll pass the weapon. But then
Oh, okay.
that depending on what facility you in, because most of the facilities got cameras in their mess halls now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're gonna transition real quick because, like you said in the beginning of the episode, you said that some people out there know you as Sleazo Bang. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit of that portion of your life. You know what I'm saying? Where people who don't know, you could let them know, but I'm sure a lot of people know you was basically you had a foot. If I wouldn't even call it a foot, you had maybe 2 feet in the door of really getting into the music industry.
Yeah.
Like this picture right here. This is around. Is this around the times when you was like
Nah,
kind of like
that right there is a gang picture. Is that
okay?
right there is that right there is a whole gang picture. It was another picture though with the music shit. It should be another picture with a bunch of us standing outside in the parking lot. It's like 30 of us out there in the parking lot on some OTL shit.
I gotta find it. Yeah, I gotta find the picture. Yeah, but we can stop at this picture right here though. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
okay.
Because those of us who know that's from the town, they know this is probably considered one of, if not the best mixtapes anybody have ever dropped in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Like
Well,
this right here, you was on there straight. First of all, you was on there with crazy heavy hitters. Like I see Uncle Murder on there, I see Rick Ross. But before I even get into that, explain to me how you even got to this, got to doing this music.
yo, I always was a rapper. Now I mean, I ain't gonna say I always was a rap. I always could rap. Ever
Yeah,
since I was young, I always could rap. Like I said, my sister, she 10 years older than me. She introduced me to hip hop, and it was like the best. Still to this day, it was like the best gift that was ever given to me was my sister giving me a Stetsasonic tape. You familiar with Stetsasonic?
nah, man. You know, y'all OGs when it comes to music.
Yeah, but it was a group called Stetsasonic back in the day and shit. And
Yeah,
and they lead rapper was a group. They lead rapper was a dude named Daddy-O. And then they had another dude named Wise. So they was like together, they was like my favorite rappers and shit together, but it was really that they was really just the only rappers I knew at that time. But I listened to that Stetsasonic tape front and back to the point that I knew every fucking word on that shit. I could tell you the shit they saying in the background. I could ad lib that shit just how it was. And I mean,
yeah,
like I knew that tape front and back. So it was like Stetsasonic, and they used to make beats for everybody and shit like that. Like you remember that song Self Destruction back in the day? Self
yeah,
Destruction.
yeah,
All right, they
yeah.
made that beat.
Okay,
Stetsasonic. Matter
yeah.
of fact, they rap on that shit too. Stetsasonic, they rap. They actually rappers in there. Wise and Daddy-O both rap on that shit. And
Yeah.
they rap is Wise first is Daddy-O, then MC Light, and then Wise. But they was the first people that I listened to. I mastered them shit, and then the second tape my sister bought me was MC Light, Hard as a Rock. Paper Thin, matter of fact, Light as a Rock, Paper Thin. And
Yeah.
that was and I learned that album front and back, and then so what I did was I started rapping, trying to mimic them. And at first I would just rap. I would just my mother had bought me what's called a karaoke machine. and because I was always running around rapping and shit like that. So she bought me a karaoke machine and a microphone and taught me how to record my own shit. So I used to take that karaoke machine and I would remake the albums that I had. So I would remake the whole MC Light tape would just be me. I would play MC Light in the background, but I would rap over it so it sounded like my own tape and shit like that. And I just did that with every tape I got. And then I started I figured out that I had to come up with my own style. So what I did was I just took all of my favorite rappers and I just bunched them all together, and I took pieces from everyone, and that's how I formulated my own shit. And then later on and shit, a group came out called the Locks. Everybody know who the Locks is, know what I mean? So when the Locks came out, it was like, yo, they was my favorite rappers when they came out because they was rapping the same way that I was rapping and shit. And then there was another dude named Pierre Cardin, and he used to write around. He used to write a lot of rhymes for dudes, but he used to kill them DJ Clue mixtapes and shit. So I used to just picked up on that shit, and I would play their music, and then at first I would just remake their songs with their own beat, just my voice and shit. And then I started making my own songs to their songs. So they would make a song and I would take it and make the same exact song, but make my own words to it. So I was having my own personal battles with these MCs. You know what I mean? Like, And then I would play the shit for my closest friends. Like, yo, listen to their version. Remember this shit? And we listen to that shit. And then I'd be like, now listen to my version and shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, back then, none of my friends wanted to hear that shit. Like, yo, nah, bro. We like, nigga, we don't rap, nigga. We rob.
Oh man, but that's crazy though. Because like we know, like us who from the town, we know you for that. Tell me how you got to the level where you was basically almost in the game, basically. If not in the, I don't even want to say almost. You was on there with some heavy hitters on that mixtape. So how did you get here though? From when you started with the with starting off with the music, and then you got to the point where you had a shot.
All right, so boom, right? This story right here ties into the streets a little bit. So being I used to rap all the time, after years go by, a lot of people knew, like, yo, listen, Supreme, he spit that shit or whatever. So years go by and shit, and then dudes used to try to get me into the studio and shit. Like when Draws first came around and he started putting dudes in the studio and shit, dudes used to always tell me like, yo, you need to go down here, get in the studio and shit like that. And I would always want to go do that shit, but I because of what I was doing in the streets, I ain't never have the time because I always was getting locked up. I would come home, I'll get locked up for a couple years and come home and I'll be home for like 4 or 5 months and then I'm gone for another couple years. And I mean shit like that or whatever. So it was like, yo, I always wanted to do it, but I never had the chance to go to a studio and actually do it. And then rest in peace, my brother Stefan, before he died, he always used to say, like, yo, you need to go to the studio. You need to go to the studio. Know what I mean? So after he died, after he got killed, I always used to think about it still. I thought about it harder, but now I'm actually putting together the material where I'm like sitting down writing raps and shit like that. And I never did that before. I just used the freestyle at the top of my head. So now I'm actually taking this shit more serious than I was. And I start writing shit. So I'm writing and writing and writing for like a year and a half, just writing, just making songs, writing. I had to have like 4 or 5 albums, man, completed. And then I just never went to the studio. So then when Steph got killed, I pretty much made it my business that, like, yo, if I don't do nothing else, I'm gonna drop at least one mixtape. And that's what I had in my head. I gotta drop at least one mixtape. But I still was procrastinating. And then rest in peace, Righty. Righty used to always tell me, because Righty, right before Righty got killed, he used to always go, he was going to the studio and he started making songs and shit. And he would come back and let me hear them. I'd be like, yo, that shit is dope. And he'd be like, yo, man, he was like, nigga, you need to go to the studio because, nigga, you rap way better than me. Like, nigga, you always been the rapper. Like, nigga, go to the studio. You the only nigga that didn't never put out no mixtapes. And I was always locked up when they was doing the little Mad Drama mixtapes and they little 252 mixtapes and shit like that. I was always locked up. So I never got a chance to, I had never been in the studio. So Righty wound up, when Righty got killed, dude, S. Dot, Rampage. You know what I'm talking
Yep.
about?
Yep.
Rampage, when Reddy got killed, Rampage wound up coming to my house one day, and you know, we had shit that we had to talk about, you know, street shit that we had to clear the air with. And I mean, from certain situations that happened in the past and shit that I ain't gonna bring it up now because we just gonna let the past be the past and shit. Know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we talked about whatever we had to talk about, and then he was letting me know, like, yo, nigga, you need to get in the studio. I got the lane for you. Like, come with me. We gonna go over here to Rocco Don. Know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
he like, yo, we going over here. Rocco got the studio over here. And I'm like, Rocco. And I was familiar with Rocco because, like I said, I started selling drugs at an early age, like 11, 12. And Rocco was one of the dudes that seen enough maturity in me to sell me whatever it was I needed. So if I needed an 8 ball or I needed, I mean, 7 grams or whatever, I would buy it from Rocco. So I was familiar with Rocco, and to the point where he would even front me shit as a child.
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, he would come through and, yo, here, yo, I'm like, yo, throw me a G pack, and he'll throw me a G pack like, yo, bring me back half. Know what I mean? Give me 5,
Yeah.
keep 5, shit like that or whatever. So I was familiar with him. So when I went there, he opened, you know, he was all open arms, like, yeah, nigga, come on. I heard you could do this shit. I want to see for myself. So that was the first time I ever got in the studio. Was Rampage brought me over to Rocco Don's, and I went in there. I think it was like maybe like 11 o'clock in the afternoon when I went there, and wound up coming out the next morning at like 11 the next morning. So I was in there for like a whole 24 hours, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just in there rapping that whole time, just rapping. And Rocco was like, yo, listen, man. When I was leaving that next day, I was like, yo, listen, I'll be back tonight. He was like, all right. I came back that night and did the same thing. Spent the night in the studio, just rapping
Yeah.
the whole night, rapping. He was like, man, listen, what you need, man? I don't want you to leave this motherfucker. Matter of fact, here, nigga gave me the key. He was like, whenever you ain't got shit to do, you come up here in the studio. I'm going to teach you how to work this shit. And then he taught me how to work that shit. And I was in there working that shit. Then next thing you know, I was there more than he was there and shit. Like, I was just in the studio. And then I started wilding a little bit because I started, at the time I was still in the street selling drugs and shit. So I started having the customers come to the block and meet me over here. So now I'm pretty much, I didn't turn the studio into a trap, but I turned the block that the studio was on into a trap now,
Yeah.
because I need to get my money and shit. Know what I mean, or whatever. So I started doing that shit over there. And then my first feature, the first nigga I did a song with was Hell Rel.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was at Rocco Don's. That was at Rocco's. We did the song with Hell Rel. And when I did the song with Hell Rel, like, Hell Rel was like, that's when Dipset was really popping at that time. And Hell Rel was, you know what I mean, like, getting his buzz crazy and shit. You know, him and
Yep.
J.R. Ryder and all of them or whatever, they was getting their buzz up crazy and shit at that time. And it was like, yo, fuck it, I'm gonna do this song with Hell Rel. When I did the song with Hell Rel, when I let niggas hear it, that's still, I never released that song. Only niggas that was real close to me got to hear that song. But everybody that heard the song was like, yo, you burnt this nigga Hell Rel up, bro. Like, yo, you killed this nigga on this shit. Know what I mean? So I'm like, word, niggas like, yo, you killed that nigga, bro. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
fuck it. So now it's like, now at that point, I was like, yo, I want to do a song with everybody because I want everybody to know that I'm the best. Know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to do
Yeah.
a song with everybody from the town that rap. I want them to
Yeah.
come to this studio so we could do a song with each other because I want to kill them on tracks. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then that was like my new way of committing violence against niggas. Know what I mean? Like,
Yo,
that was
man.
like my new way of committing violence against niggas and shit. So niggas, so I did my first mixtape, was just called Sleazo Bang, Things That Go Bang, Volume
Yeah.
1.
Yep.
And that mixtape, I had everybody from the town that I could find that rap and shit. Now,
Yeah.
the first nigga I went and got was Cans, and I was trying to get D Johns, but something was, I don't remember why D Johns couldn't come through that day, but D Johns didn't come. But Cans was one of the first niggas I went through because since we was little kids, this nigga always been a fucking rapper. Know what I mean? Like, this nigga Cans was always a fucking rapper, and he
Yep.
always knew I could rap, and he always encouraged me to rap. Know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, nigga, like when they was doing, before they started doing the TCP shit, when they was doing the Cuidado shit and all that shit like that, when I came home from prison, Cans was like, yo, nigga, I've been waiting for you we got a studio, we got a record label, Cuidado, nigga, and yeah, come down here and fuck with me and my uncle AWOL and all the shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Niggas got that, yeah. And then I got locked up probably like a week after I seen that nigga or something. So that went out the window. I mean, so it was just like I kept getting locked up. And I wasn't catching new charges. Sometimes it was just violations and shit like that. And I mean, like I'll come home and then be home for a month or two and be gone for another 2 years, shit like that. But I couldn't stay home. But then when once Righty and Steph died, and I felt like I kind of owed it to them because Steph was my biggest fan. I mean, Qua, and Steph Qua and Lucy G. Those always been my biggest fans. Know what I mean? Fucking so they was always the niggas, whether they knew it or not, they was always the niggas that motivated me to keep doing that shit. Know what I mean? Like especially Qua, because Qua will go outside and fight with you if you say I ain't the best nigga from Poughkeepsie. Know what I mean? Like you can't tell Qua that. I don't know now if he still feel the same way because I ain't rapping that years, but back then you couldn't say nothing to Qua about. Know what I mean? Like you talk to Qua about rappers and you ain't mention my name, nigga, you was probably about to get into a fight. Know what I mean? Like But so they used to motivate me. They was my motivation. And after Steph and Righty got killed, it was like, yo, I owed him a mixtape. Know what I mean? So that's when I did that first mixtape. I got everybody I could get on there, went and got pages. I even had pages on that shit. Niggas didn't even know who pages was. That's how I put them on that mixtape and shit. But those was niggas that I knew that was serious about what they did. And I wanted to be serious about it too. Know what I mean? So I had to get the niggas that was serious about their craft so that they could get me to be serious about it too. Know what I mean? And that shit just worked out. So then I did that first mixtape and that shit got a nice response. Like everybody was like, yo, you gotta put out the second one, you gotta put out the second one. And before I got to put out the second one, I wound up catching another case. And I caught a case. And this was the second time that I had went to trial because I caught other cases. I had took another case to trial, wound up winning. Both times I went to trial, wound up winning. I wound up getting found not guilty, getting acquitted and shit. But I had caught a case in between that first mixtape and that second mixtape. I had caught a case, wound up going to trial, wound up getting acquitted and shit. And then when I came home from that, me and Rocco, we wasn't seeing eye to eye over some things and shit. I mean, it was some issues that we wasn't seeing eye to eye over. And until we came to an understanding about those issues, I didn't feel comfortable putting no more music in that studio. Know what I mean? Because it was just some issues that we had to iron out first before I would even consider putting music back in that studio or whatever. So and so in that when that was happening, I started. It was some other dudes that my brother had grew up with. Know what I mean? And you know, those was people that my brother was hanging with and shit like that. I knew them, they knew me. Know what I mean? Like we was familiar with each other, but they wasn't my group of friends. They was my brother's group of friends. Know what I mean? So, but like I said, they not saying that they was cool little niggas. I used to chill with them whenever they was around and I ain't have nothing to do, no street shit. I would hang with them, know what I mean, play basketball and shit like that or whatever. Know what I mean, do regular shit. And so they was cool niggas. I was familiar with them, like I said. And we started talking and shit, and they started asking me about like, yo, what I wanted to do with the music and shit. And I'm like, yo, man, I'm still trying to do some music, but I just can't do it in this situation over here no more until me and son iron out these issues or whatever. And then niggas was like, yo, so what's up? Like, oh, we could start our own record label and shit. Like, we just gotta figure out what we gonna call this shit. And I'm like, yo, we already had, rest in peace, my little brother Stefan. He had came up with the name OTL. Know what I mean? Like, so niggas was already going by the name out of their league. Whether the rest of the town knew about it or not, OTL was already established. Know what I mean? Before music, OTL was already established. Know what I mean? So we established it as far as some music shit. We like, yo, fuck it, we gonna do music. We just gonna turn what we already got into a record label and go from there. Know what I mean? Like, yo, we out of their league. We just gonna throw entertainment on the end of that motherfucker. And now we out of their league entertainment. Know what I mean? Like, so everybody had the misconception that Malcolm started OTL, but Malcolm didn't start OTL. OTL actually was started by Stefan, Murph, and Stay High. Stay High, Murph, and Steph, actually the three niggas that started OTL. They came up with the idea for it, and then Steph went to the mall and got the shit, started getting it stitched on the side of his hat, and the niggas started getting it stitched on their shirts and shit like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Steph was the one who Steph came up with it. Murph came up with the name OTL out of their league. Murph came up with the name, Steph came up with it, and then Steph, Murph, and Stay High, they put it together. And Malcolm was in jail. He didn't even know what OTL was. Malcolm was in jail. And then, later when he came home, then that's when he got involved. Like, he was already down with it regardless, but he didn't know
Yeah.
nothing about it. Like, he wasn't the one who came up with it or none of that shit. And then
Yeah.
even the record label wasn't his idea. The record label was strictly my idea. And he had the finances to make it happen though. Know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
had just came home from prison and shit. Matter of fact, I just came home from beating a from I was locked up fighting the case and shit. So I just came home from beating that trial. And then so I was copping weight off of him. Know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I will get it like because of the bond that we already had outside of street shit. Know what I mean? Like, I would get
Yeah.
cheaper prices than he would give it for everybody else or whatever. So I started off copping shit from him or whatever, like, yo, cop a little bit here, cop a little bit there, but I was getting more than what he could supply. Know what I mean? So it was
Yeah.
like, yo, let's figure out a way where we could work this together. Know what I mean? Like, where we could all get money together type shit or whatever. So then it was just where I would just drive for him, where whenever he needed something to go get picked up or whatever, I was the transporter for a little while. Know what I mean? So I was
Yeah.
transporting for a second. Well, I ain't gonna say for a little while, a couple times. I did
Yeah.
some transportation shit and got shit from point A to point B, and then we started moving like that or whatever. And then it was one day he hit me up on one day. I got a call from Malcolm one day, and he was like, yo, man, I found a studio in Manhattan. We could go down here because another dude we was dealing with, childhood nigga that we grew up with, kind of nigga named Bumps Hollywood and shit. I don't know what Bumps
Mhm.
is doing right now. I ain't seen him in a while. But Bumps Hollywood, he was making my beats. He was the producer, and he used to fuck with the Beatsmith niggas and all of that. Beatsmith and um I forgot what other crews they got, but he used to do music with them, making beats with them and shit like that. And from him doing that, he started meeting a lot of engineers and shit like that, like a lot of producers in New York City and shit like that that was into
Yeah.
big things and shit like that. So that's when he dude Bumps Hollywood introduced me to a guy, engineer named Steve Solar.
Mhm.
Steve Solar. So Steve Solar is the engineer that did the Biggie duets. He did all of T.I.'s albums. He did all of
Yeah.
Eminem's albums. He got a lot. Like, if you look him up online, Steve Solar, the Mix King. He's the engineer for a lot of the biggest songs that you heard in your life. Now, I mean, he was the engineer for him. He did the whole Biggie duets album and some of Life After Death too. But he got a lot of credentials under his belt and shit. So he introduced me to Steve, and shit, Steve heard me. I spit some shit for Steve one time, and Steve was like, "Yeah, like he fucking like, yeah, he got it." Know what I mean? Like, he got it. Let's
Yeah.
figure this shit out. If y'all gonna push this record label, I'm gonna help y'all any way y'all can. I'll give y'all discounted studio time, and know what I mean, whatever way I can help y'all. Just let's keep it in house, and let's. Know what I mean, one hand wash the other, both wash the face. So I look out for y'all, and in the future, if there's any way y'all can look out for me, y'all return the favor. Know what I mean, that
Yeah.
type of shit or whatever. So we started going down there doing them songs with. I started going down there doing songs in Steve Solar's studio and shit. And it just got one day I was like, yo, I wanted to do a song. I said I wanted to do a song with somebody. I forgot who it was. I was like, man, I want to do a song with that nigga. I want to burn this, because like I was still on that type of time. Like, I want to, I was like, I consider myself like a lyrical pugilist. Know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
this is how I get to lay hands on niggas. Know what I mean? Like,
No, it's
so
crazy because that mixtape sound like that's what you was doing on there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had something to prove with that. Know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so that it started with that. Oh, it was Ransom. I wanted to
Yeah.
do a song with Ransom because everybody kept saying like, yo, like Ransom, Ransom got bars, know what I mean? So niggas was like, yo, niggas kept telling me like, yo, you can't fuck with Ransom. Like, yo, you think you could fuck with Ransom? And I'm like, nigga, nobody could fuck with me. I don't give a fuck who it is, nigga. Nobody can fuck with me. So niggas like, yo, you can't fuck with Ransom. Now I mean, I just got tired of hearing that shit. Like, yo, I want to do a song with Ransom so I could prove this once and for all that this nigga can't fuck with me. Know what I mean? Like, so one day the nigga Malcolm hit me like, yo, I gotta connect to get this nigga Ransom. And I'm like, well, he's like, yo, you really want to do it? I was like, hell yeah, nigga, let's get this shit done. I need to put hands on this nigga. Now he's like, yeah, so that was the first feature I did, and it was like, yo, we did a song. I forgot the name of the song, man, but it was like some beat that Bumps had made, and it was just like some real quick shit. Like, yo, fuck it, let's do it. It ain't even make the mixtape. We ain't even put it on the mixtape. I was gonna keep it for a single and shit, but wound up doing that song, and then he was loving it. Like, he loved it, my verse. He was like, yo, nigga, he's like, you one of the only niggas I ever did a song with, and you could hang with me verse bar for bar. And I mean, shit like that. Like, yo, we got to do something else one day. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then he hit me up, like maybe like a couple weeks later. I wound up getting a call from Ransom, and like, yo, I got a song I want you to get on that I'm putting on my mixtape. He had a mixtape coming out called Pain and Glory 2. He was like, yo, I got a song I'm about to put on my mixtape. I want you to get on it. I'm gonna send this shit to you right now. Send me your email. Send him the email. He sent me the track. I heard this shit. I was like, yeah, this shit is crazy. It was another artist on there, nigga from Dipset named Tom Gist. And me, Ransom, and Tom Gist, we did this shit. It's called Hood Visions, a song we did called Hood Visions on Ransom's Pain and Glory 2 mixtape. And those was my first features right there. And that shit, it was just like off from the races from there. Like, people was hearing that shit. Like, people in the industry and shit was hearing the songs that I did with Ransom. And then it was some niggas out of Jersey named called Pip Stars that was down with Lazy K. And I had wound up doing a song with them. And Lazy K heard the shit. And she was feeling it, like, yo, this nigga got, I mean, like, he got what it takes. So I wound up linking up with Lazy K. And matter of fact, I think I sent you a picture with me and Lazy K and shit, and a picture with me and Ransom. That's me and Lazy K right there. That's DJ Lazy K.
Yeah. Let me see if I gotta.
And yeah, that's me and Ransom right there. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So it's great. So you end up doing songs with Ransom, but then you got songs with Rick Ross, Mano.
Now those came through Lazy K, because she a DJ that she been around for a long time. That's the Lady Street Sweeper, because her and K Slay was doing it together. Know what I mean? That Street Sweeper shit was her and K Slay together. So Lazy K is the Lady Street Sweeper type shit. Know what I mean? So she real known in the industry, so she had a lot of links and shit. So she was putting me on like, yo, I let this person hear a song from you. They like your shit. Like, yo, you want to do a song with them? Know what I mean? Shit like that. So I'm like, hook that up. Know what I mean? Shit like that. So the first person she hit me with was the Sheik Luch. Was Sheik Luch, like, yo, Sheik Luch got an opening if you want to do this song with Sheik. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do that. We knocked that shit out. And then she hit me with the Rick Ross shit. She called like, yo, this nigga Rick Ross is coming up here to do something for me. While he up here, you could get him to do something with you. He heard your shit. He feeling your shit or whatever. So, when he come, he'll be here on this day. If you want him to do something with you got to go through these channels right here, get in touch with Def Jam, so Def Jam could put it on the itinerary or whatever. And that's what we did. We got in touch with Def Jam. At first, they wanted like 15 bands to do the song, but we was like, man, fuck that. How you come to us and then try to charge us 15 bands type shit? Know what I mean? Like, nah, we good. I mean, and then they was like, yo, the label needed whatever money they needed for whatever they needed for, so just give the label 5 bands, and then Rick Ross will pull up or whatever. So I guess we just gave the label, gave the label 5 bands, and then Rick Ross pulled up and shit, and he pretty much did the song for free because he didn't get paid for it, just the label got paid.
Yeah. So now at this time period, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got pictures with her, you got pictures with Vlad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yep. Vlad before he was what he is now, anyway.
Yeah.
Right there, that's me, Vlad and P. Wills.
Yeah. What do you think? You was basically on your way.
Yeah.
What derailed it?
Um.
Or did you
I
even want to go that far?
there was
Did
there
you?
was there was a dude, man, rest in peace, named Chaz. Chaz had a label called Black Hand. You ever heard of Black Hand?
I think I heard it. Yeah, that sounds
Black
familiar. Yeah.
Hand. Matter of fact, he had an artist on his label called named Graph that everybody said was the Black
Yeah.
Eminem.
I know
All
Graph.
right.
Yeah. From
So
Brooklyn, right?
now, huh?
Graph from Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so now Chaz, me and Chaz had some mutual acquaintances from the streets and shit. Know what I mean? And they put him on, rest in peace, Chaz. Chaz Williams, he passed away and shit some years ago. But Chaz, we had some mutual friends from the streets and from the prisons and shit or whatever. And Chaz official street nigga, like real like New York street legend nigga. Know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
down with the Supreme team and all that shit like that or whatever. But
Mhm.
Chaz had pretty much told me like, yo, you know, with what I was doing, I needed to I couldn't have one foot in the industry, one foot in the streets. I had to be all the way industry or just leave it alone because he was letting me know like, yo, you a real, like, yo, you really a street nigga, like you really a street nigga trying to do some rap shit. Most of these niggas is rap niggas that's trying to have a street image. So he was like, you
Yeah.
the opposite. When you the opposite, the labels see you as a liability. You got to change
Mhm.
your image because with the image that you bringing them, they know that what you saying is real. Like you could tell that you, know what I mean, like you could tell the difference between rappers that's trying to talk street shit and street niggas that's trying to be rappers. Know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
like, you gotta make them think that you a rapper and nothing more. And I
Yeah.
did. I had a. It was. I didn't understand what he was saying to me back then. You understand? Like I
Yeah.
knew what he was saying, but I didn't understand how to make that transition. I didn't understand how to separate myself from the streets in the eyes of these labels
Yeah.
because I only knew how to live one way. I only know how to be who I am. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was out of my comfort zone to try to do anything other than just be myself.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that he was trying to tell me that I needed to tone it down a little bit. And
Yeah.
because that I was that they the labels wanted me, but they were scared to deal with me because they didn't know whether I was gonna get shot and killed the next day or wind up killing a nigga and going to jail. Now I mean that type of shit. And they don't want to put their
Yeah.
money behind a nigga that's gonna throw it all away tomorrow. So
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
trying to tell me that type of shit. And I was in the process of learning how to do that, learning
Yeah.
how to tone the street shit down. And then what happened was financially, you know, like in the eyes of everybody, I was coming outside and, you know, people see the clothes and shit that I got on and they think I'm doing good. But nigga, my rent is $1,600 and I'm like
Yeah.
$800 short right now. And
Yeah.
this rap shit ain't paying the bills. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if I was in the streets, I could get this money in 20 minutes. Know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was hard for me to balance out like, yo, what do I do while I'm not being a street nigga? What do I do to survive?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I gotta spend money on this rap shit, but how am I making this money to spend if I can't do no street shit? I don't know no other way to make no money, nigga. Now I mean,
Yeah.
like, so I had a dilemma, and it was like, yo, at the end of the day, I chose the streets over music because the streets was putting money and food on the table right now. Know what I mean? And the music wasn't. The music, I was getting money for features here and there, but the features was few and far in between. So I couldn't depend on that to put food on my table when I needed to be fed. So I had to go back to the streets, back to what I know. Not that I had really left all the way, but like Chad said, I had one foot in and one foot out the streets. The same way I had one foot in the industry and one foot out the. I mean, with the industry shit, but I chose and it's not even that I made the long term decision to choose it. It was just that at that time, I had to get that money. You know what I mean? I had to get that money
Yeah.
because I was the sole provider for my family. Like I had to go out and get it. So, like me telling them, yo, wait until I drop this mixtape and sell this mixtape. I mean, like that ain't going. That's not helping. I mean, I got kids to feed. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, that was the thing because when I had dropped the mixtape, I was supposed to be selling the shit for $5 a CD. But
Yeah.
my we pressed up 5,000 CDs, and my engineer Bumps Hollywood, he winds up giving the fucking CDs out for free. He takes a whole box of CDs, like 500 CDs, and just goes through the city of Poughkeepsie, like through all of the hoods, and just gives out my CD for free. So
Oh,
now the next
so that's how we got it.
yeah. So now the next morning when I wake up and I'm going to sell to put my CDs in the store at Los's and shit like that so people could buy them, I get the
Yeah.
Los's like, yo, here, take these 100 CDs. He like, oh, I already got 50 of them over there. I'm like, what you mean you got 50 of them over there? Where you get
Yeah.
those from? And that's when he tell me, he like, yo, your man been walking around giving these shits out all day yesterday. And I'm like, wow, he giving them,
Yeah.
how you giving my money away, nigga?
Yeah.
Which led to a discrepancy with me and him now, because I'm like, nigga, we paid for this. This ain't shit you give away for free,
No.
nigga. You know how much money we invested into this, and you giving it away to niggas? Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that put a damper in my spirit with that shit. And because I was looking forward towards that mixtape money so that I could put food on the table so that I didn't have to deal with the streets. I was trying to go from selling drugs to selling music. Know what I mean? Like, but the way that went down, it had kind of like put a hinder. It had hindered me from doing what I had planned, and I didn't have no backup plan. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not having a backup plan was critical because I didn't have anything to fall back on except for the streets, which
Yeah.
I did, and that shit led me back to a whole nother bid.
Yeah. And you mentioned, it's crazy because you mentioned your kids, and I want to talk about that briefly because what kind of father are you? You know what I'm saying? I know, yes, you went through prison, you did a whole bunch of street stuff. What kind of I know you described what kind of father you had,
Mm-hmm.
but what kind of father are you to your kids?
Matter
Matter of fact, how many kids you got all together?
I got 7. I got
7
7 kids, and I got 1 grandbaby.
1 grandkid. So what kind of father is supreme to the kids?
Supreme is a father that I was when I first became a father. I didn't have no interest in being a father. I didn't know how to be a father when I first became with my first 2 kids. My first 2 kids is 26, 25, and 26 right now. My oldest 2. When they was first born, I didn't have no clue on what it was to be a father. Know what I mean? Like, I didn't have no good examples to look to. So on what that role was. So I just thought that all I had to do was come around if they got in trouble, or if it was like a birthday or some shit. Know what I mean? Like, and other than that, in between those times, know what I mean, like, it was like whatever. My baby mother got them, I'm good. Know what I mean? Like, she
Yeah.
good with the babies. Know what I mean, or whatever. I ain't gonna say I was a deadbeat. I didn't know how to be a father. So how can you do something that you don't know how to do? But
Yeah.
today, who I am as a father today is I'm still learning what it means to be a father. Know what I mean? Like, and I'm a single father right now. But I still every day my son show me things that I could do to be better, or to better myself with, as far as my relationship with my kids and shit like that. All my kids know who I am. All my kids know that they could come here anytime they want. They know that whatever I got is belongs to them too. Know what I mean? Like, so now the father that I am today is still a developing father, but I'm understanding um what it means to be a father now, what it
Yeah.
means to be an actual dad. Like, know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because you got biological fathers. Anybody could be a biological father. Know what I mean? But I'm a
Yeah.
daddy now. Know what I mean? So I understand the difference between a father and a daddy. Know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
my kids, like me waking up and having them interactions, having to make sure that my son's child, that his health care is taken care of, that he gets those checkups, that he's going to the dentist, that he's growing and developing the way that he has to, that I'm interacting with his teachers, and that we're making sure that his education is a priority, and that not just any education, the best education that he could get. So, when they teach him things in school, and if he comes home and I ask him every day, yo, what you learned today in school? Let's go over some of that. And wherever I see falsehoods and shit like that, I'll correct them and let them know, like, listen, I was taught that when I was in school too. But then when I got older and I got out of school, I found out that this was a lie. Let me show you the truth about this situation now. Let's sit
Yeah.
here for an hour and let me show you what the true meaning, what they really got, where they really got things given, or or now I mean whatever the
Yeah,
situation
yeah, yeah.
is. I mean shit like that. Like I'll sit there and I'll school them because I understand that those is things that I didn't have when I was growing up. So me not having somebody to explain shit to me and actually sit down and take the time to break shit down for me led to a lot of my instances of having to use motor perpetual because there was nobody for me to learn from conceptually. So I had to go through it myself with certain situations. And that's something that I try to make sure that my kids don't have to do. Now, I mean, I try to make sure that my kids can learn from my experiences. And the only way they can learn from those experiences is if I keep it all the way authentic with them when I'm sharing those experiences with them. And I'm not giving them just the pros or just the cons, that I'm giving them the pros and the cons. And I'm letting them understand that it's critical thinking that's going to help them maneuver through and make the best decisions when they find themselves faced in those same situations. So I didn't have nobody to give that to me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a father, that's something that I feel like I gotta give to my kids. I gotta make sure that they always is thinking with the critical mind and they're not just easily being led by peer pressure and by and by what's popular and I mean shit like that, what's trending.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, so you told me what kind of father you are. Now, what kind of grandfather are you? Are you soft?
Man, I'm still right now. My granddaughter, she in New York still.
Yeah, yeah,
She'll be a year this year. She'll be a year, and so I'm hoping that I'll finally meet her this year. Well,
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
finally gonna meet her and be able to hold her this year. And
Yeah.
my plans and intentions is honestly, I intend to try to talk my daughter out of my granddaughter so that I could take her and raise her down. I try to talk my
Uh,
daughter into going to live her life. Like, listen, you
yeah,
26 years old, go live your life. Let me
yeah,
take this baby. I got this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So listen, now we done went through. We went through you going to prison, your music thing. Now tell me about the transition. When did you feel after your last time you went to prison? You came home in 2018. When did you say, you know what, enough is enough? This ain't what it is no more.
I 2018, like I said, right before I came home, 67 days before I came home, I wound up getting into an altercation in the prison, wound up cutting somebody and getting sent to the box. While I was in the box, I was trying to figure it out because I knew that I was about to come home and that I was maxing out. I wasn't going to have no parole, that this was going to be the first time since I was a juvenile that I was going to actually be free. Now, I mean, like the first time that I'm ever going to be home without having to report to some type of quote unquote authority and tell them about my day. Now, I mean, shit like that. So it was my first time being actually free. So I knew that I had to have a plan because a lot of people come home from prison and they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
And when you come home from situations like that and you don't have a plan, you're almost 95% guaranteed to become a victim of recidivism. Whereas, because I spent so many years of my life being a victim of recidivism, is where they let me out and then I'm coming right back through the revolving door back into these prisons. Now, I mean, when you do
Yeah.
that, you fall victim to the recidivism, and you what you're doing is you're placing yourself now. You have accomplished and digressing or de-evolutionizing yourself from a human to something less than that. Now I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because you're a statistic now. So you went from being an actual person or individual to being now you're just a statistic because you can't even beat it. Now I mean, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to be a statistic no more. I got tired of it, and I felt and I had to evaluate that from every aspect of my life. Like, yo, listen, it's not just me coming in and out of prison that'll make me a fucking statistic. If I go home and I get killed, I'm still a part of that same statistic. If I go
Absolutely.
home and I kill a nigga, I'm still a part of that same statistic. If I go home and I contribute to anything that's gonna help anybody else go back and go back and forth into this shit, then I'm playing a part and helping somebody else become a statistic, something that I don't
Yeah.
want to be, and something
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
don't want somebody to try to provoke or entice my kids to become any type of a statistic. I want them to
Yeah.
be the best them that they could be. And the only way they could do that is if I lead by example and show them through my own ways and actions. So when I
Yeah.
was in there in that box, I really evaluated it from every way. Like, what do I need to get rid of? what people, places, and things do I need to alleviate out my life to keep me from coming back to these situations at this? Because if I come back to prison again, if I catch another felony and come back to prison, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna be a violent felony, because that seems to be the only thing I get locked up for. And if I come back to jail for a violent felony, I'm gonna be what's called a persistent violent felon. They're gonna give me life,
Yeah. Word.
meaning that
Word.
I'm never coming home. Or I could come back out here in these streets and get involved in the same shit that I've been involved in, and I could lose my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of those options are acceptable to me. None of that
Yeah.
was feasible to me. So I had to put together a plan. What can I do to actually keep myself out of there? And I said, yo, the only way that I see that I could keep myself out of there is by helping other people stay out of there, because I
Yeah.
know that I don't like to perpetrate a fraud. So I don't want to perpetuate to be something that I'm not. Or I don't want to push something onto my kids or something onto other people's kids that I can't stand up and say that I'm standing on that principle 10 toes. So I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
say, yo, fuck them gangs. And then when I leave here with these youth, I go outside and put this red flag back on. Know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that's
Yeah.
contradictive. Know what I mean? Like, it makes
Right.
me what's called a hypocrite. And a hypocrite is one of the things that's looked down, is one of the most foulest things you could be. Know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you trying to live upright.
Yeah. Word.
So I never liked a hypocrite, and I never wanted to be a hypocrite. When I first came home from prison, well, while I was still in the box, I just had to envision it. And I understood that a thought is not a good thing or a bad thing until you put the thought into activation.
Yep.
And when you're putting when a a thought that's not well thought out that's put into activation is also a calamity. We need to
Yeah.
think these things well out before we put them into activation. So what I had to do was I had to come up with a well thought out plan. What are the things that I can do to keep myself out of prison? And I actually made a list of things that I could do that countered the things that I was already doing, the things that led me to prison. So I
Yeah.
came up with a list of pros and cons. These are the things that led me, that I've been doing, that led me to prison and led me to this hard life that I've been living. And these is the things that I could have been doing to counter these things that I felt like I was too big to do.
Yeah.
So I had to, first thing I had to do was I had to check myself and put my pride in check. I had to understand that it didn't matter what other people outside of my own self thought about me if I thought the worst about my own self.
Yeah.
So I had to change my own self imagery, the way that I looked at myself. And I started looking at myself as the foulest of the foul. I started taking all of the things that I did that I was saying that these was good things. Like, yo, I could go outside and I could go home with $42 in my pocket, and before the end of the week, I could turn that shit into 20,000. Now I mean, like shit like
Yeah.
that. That's negative shit. I could
Yeah.
probably do that shit. But the
Yeah.
same energy that I'm putting into doing that shit right there, I could take that energy and put it over here. And now, yo, listen, instead of me going out and trying to get all of this hustling and shit like that to where I'm getting this money, let me go fill out these applications over here. It don't take much effort for me to fill out an application, and there's nobody that's gonna be threatened by me filling out this application. So I don't got to worry about stepping on nobody else's toes or making somebody mad and possibly creating an enemy that I don't know by me filling out these applications. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
fill out these applications, and it'll bring me the same thing that me putting in this hustle over here is gonna bring me. Eventually, it's gonna bring me money. It's gonna be
Yeah.
slow money, but it's gonna
Yeah.
be guaranteed money, and it's gonna be money that I don't gotta look over my shoulder for.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah.
streets, I gotta look over my shoulder for police. I gotta look over my shoulder for niggas that's trying to rob niggas. I gotta look over my shoulder for people that I did shit to in my past. And I mean shit like that. And I just got tired of looking over my fucking shoulder at the end of the day. It was like, yo,
Yeah.
damn, like is this all life is about? All I
Yeah.
got? Know what I mean? Like it gotta be something more than that. Beanie Siegel and them came out with that song. It can't be life. It
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
love. It's gotta be
Yeah.
more. Now I mean, like, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and at that time, that was one of the tapes that I had in my Walkman that I'm listening to. So it's like, yo, when he's saying that shit, I'm really putting that shit into perspective with my own life. Like, yo, it gotta be more. This can't be life. I
No.
want more out of this shit than what I'm getting, than what I've been
Yeah.
getting. because I've been
Yeah.
giving the streets my all, my blood, my sweat, my tears. I've been giving them shits. I gave the streets my all from all my life, and I don't got nothing to show for this shit. Nothing but
Yeah.
hard times and fucking funerals.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yo, it got to be more than this. I don't want this no more. I have to take the necessary steps in order to change my direction in life. Because right now, the direction that I'm going and is the same direction that anybody else that's living that street life is going. Because it's only
Yeah.
one direction that you could go in that life, and that's fucking down. Because it
Yeah.
ain't no winners in that game. It's no winners in that game. And when I came to that realization, I said, who the fuck wakes up to aspire to be a fucking loser?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
wakes up and says, I'm gonna wake up today and I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna be the best loser out of all of the losers out here. I'm gonna be the best loser. Now I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like, and that's pretty much
Yeah.
what we do, bro. We go outside
Yeah.
with this fucked up mentality, thinking that we gonna be the best drug dealers and all this shit. But nigga, you signed up to play a game that has absolutely no winners. That makes
Yeah.
you a fucking fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Word.
makes you a fool. There's never been a winner in this game. What makes you think that you're going to be the difference maker?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I came to that realization, like, yo, listen, I'm fooling myself, because something that I learned early in life is that to do the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results, is the literal definition of insanity. And I
Yeah.
know that I'm not insane. I know that mental, my mental facilities is well operational, more operational and functional than a lot of people that I have met in life. I know
Yeah.
that I have the capacity to be the best me that I could be. So why the fuck am I settling for less?
Yeah. Word.
And I
Word.
had to realize that me living the life I was living, even though I was getting everything I wanted by whatever means I was getting it by, I was still settling for less, because all of this shit could come and get taken away from me like this.
Yeah.
And then I got to start all the way over from the bottom. But you can't take something that's generational. You can't take something like the shit that I'm getting now, the shit that I'm developing now for my kids. Nobody could take this. I bought
Yeah.
land. I own my home. I own my
Yeah.
land. I got the allodial deeds to this, meaning that once I die, this shit goes to who's ever next in line that I deed this out to. Like, this is mine forever. So I got
Yeah.
something to pass on to my kids now and shit like this. And the reason why I thought about the shit like that is because I thought about it like, yo, if I was to die right now, what do my kids get? And the only thing that I had to give to my kids was a fucking red bandana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, what kind of legacy is that to leave a child?
Word.
So that was what it was that provoked the spark of change inside of me. It was like, yo, I just got tired of it. I lived it. I did it all. I did it all. And then when I came home, I came home 2018 and I still had street shit in me that I needed to get out. So I didn't come home and just was instantly just this new guy. You know what I mean? It took time. It was a process. But I came home with a different plan. I envisioned myself while I was in that box. I had a dream. And in that dream, I envisioned what I wanted to be. And literally everything, how I wanted to look, all of that shit. And in the dream, because you remember I had long dreads. In the
Yeah.
dream, I didn't have no hair. I had waves. I had my glasses on. I had my jewelry on. I had my teeth in my fronts in my mouth and shit like that. I was
Yeah.
driving in my little Lexus, and this is a dream, but this is where I was envisioning myself. And I wasn't headed to the block. I was headed to my business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, this is the best feeling in the world. As I was in my dream, as I was driving, and I stopped at the light and happened to look over into somebody else's business, but caught the reflection of myself in the dream. I caught the
Yeah.
reflection of myself, and in that dream, I said, that's what I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
be. It wasn't a dream about me carrying guns and dressed in red and with these bandanas, and I mean with all these homies throwing up these gang signs. I wasn't dreaming about that shit no more. I already lived that, and I seen that there wasn't nothing fruitful from that. I wasn't gonna get anything fruitful from that. I was in the gang for what, 20 something years. And I spent in these gangs for over almost 30 years, 25 years in the gang, and literally don't have nothing to show for it except for a reputation that I don't even want no more. I did all of that shit for a reputation because that's the only thing you're gonna get out of that shit. The only thing you're gonna get from any young niggas that's watching this shit that might be tempted to join any gangs or you might be pressured. The niggas around you is in gangs and shit like that. And even if you already in a gang, get the fuck out, man. Get out. And I'm telling you, as a nigga, I've been at the top of that shit. I was at the top of the food chain for many, many years with that shit. And I'm telling you, you at the end of the day, you you're not gonna have nothing to show for it, man. Nothing to show for it. So you put in all of that work. You wake up every day and you tell yourself, I need to put this work in. I need to put this work in. And the only thing you get out of that shit is a reputation that once you get my age, you don't even want, because that reputation excludes you from a lot of things that could help you be successful in life. Because of my reputation, I can't get certain jobs. Because of my reputation, certain people in the town where I'm from won't even deal with me.
Yeah.
Now I mean, like, so it's certain opportunities that I had when I was still up there. It was certain opportunities that I had, things that was gonna better help me better myself and better my situation. That once I come around and got to deal with the people remember me from the past. They don't want to deal with somebody like me. Yeah. So it's like, yo, my reputation supersedes myself. So all these years that I built this reputation, now it's a reputation that I don't want, and there's nothing I could do about it because it supersedes me. It walks into the room before I do.
Yep.
So, now I mean, so it's like, yo, this is hindering me. This is hurting me. I had to change it up. I had to do something different. And then even doing something different, it was still, I had to leave. I had to actually leave because I had did dirt for so long that even though I came home with a different mind state, the people that knew me for all of those years couldn't accept that. They could only remember me as who I was. So even though I put in all of this effort to show the change and differences and show that I'm onto something different, the people in my past wouldn't let me be great because they only remember this. So anytime, so I could go over here today and situate a whole good situation over here and stop a war. But tomorrow somebody will get killed over here and I'll get blamed for it. Even though I didn't have nothing to do with it. Didn't know it was gonna happen and I found out when you found out. How you blaming me for it?
Yeah.
So it was like, yo, it's my reputation again. Once again, my reputation is fucking causing me more problems than is necessary. More problems than I'm even willing to deal with at this point. So now I just have to leave. So I came home and I was trying to do the right thing, and I still was in the gang. I still was living the gang life, but I was trying to lead the whole gang in a different direction. And it came to the realization, what made me come to the realization, I had to understand, I'm looking at the situations and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to save niggas out here. But then I had to realize, like, yo, I'm trying to save niggas when I'm still in the water. I'm trying to throw niggas a life raft, a lifesaver, when I'm still in the water myself.
Yeah.
I can't help them from if I'm in the water with them. I can't help them. I got to get out the fucking water. If I really want to help these niggas, I got to get out the water. Because while I'm still in this water and I'm telling them one thing, it's still making me a fucking hypocrite. Because I'm telling them not to do this shit, but I'm still gangbanging when I leave. So then when I started doing and started promoting the right shit, and I started changing the things that I was doing. And then the people around me that was still into what they was into, still into the gangs and shit like that, they start looking at me different now. Like, oh, bro, you changed, yo, you know, yesterday you would have been with going over here to shoot this shit up over here, shit like that. But today you telling us, yo, nah, this, I mean, now they starting to feel some type of way about me. We don't know if we could trust you no more. Cause you ain't with this type of shit over here no more. We feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Now my name is getting brought up and shit. And to a lot of y'all that's out there that's in the streets, man, I need you to know that it's easy to say, this is my brother, or yo, I love this nigga, I ride with this nigga forever. But everybody that say that shit, listen, I'm telling you, 90% of the people that you out here with every day in these streets that you think got your back and shit like that, when shit get hard and your back is against the wall, it's only gonna be, you're gonna have 2 out of 10 people that's gonna really stick it out with you, man. 2 out of 10 people. So I need you to understand, I need y'all to understand that the niggas you with every day is gonna be, depending on how you deal with them and what y'all doing in life, they could be your biggest fans now, and then and when shit hit the fan, they gonna be the worst niggas you ever met in your life, man. They gonna try to put you away. They gonna allow you to take blame for shit that you ain't got nothing to do with. Now I mean, like it's a lot of shit, and it ain't no different. My story ain't no different from nobody else's because there's only two outcomes when you living in this shit. And I know niggas hear this shit because when I was young, I heard this shit many times. But it's really the facts of the life, man. Like that life that you live in, it's only two ways out. You're gonna die early, or you're gonna go to jail for the rest of your life. And there ain't no in between. Or you're gonna be a crackhead. That's the in between. The in
Yeah.
between is you're a strung out addict somewhere. And I mean, like, none of
Yeah.
those is all of those is losers positions.
Yeah.
Those is
Definitely
all
sick.
the position of losers.
That's it's crazy that you know, and I would want to end it on everything you said because everything you said was what it was. But I do gotta ask you about because now you move, you down south, you got land, you growing. People don't know. I know because I follow you online.
Mhm.
You growing vegetables and all this kind of stuff. You got gardens and all that stuff now.
Yeah.
Like that's your transition from being a dude who was on the streets doing all this stuff now to living a quiet life down south. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that.
so I left the streets, and the reason I left the streets at the end, the final thing was it was a situation. I had left Poughkeepsie and I was trying to do better and shit like that. I left Poughkeepsie. I had moved up to Schenectady. I was still doing the gang shit. I was still in the gang, but I was just taking the gang in a different direction. I was up there stopping wars. I was working with another brother who was in the gang. He had started a program up there called Band of Brothers, and they was working with gang intervention. So that's when I became a gang intervention worker, where I
Yeah,
started going around trying to talk other kids that was prone to like joining gangs. I was letting them know the pros and cons. The same thing I'm doing now, gang intervention specialist. I let them know from the eyes of a actual gang member, letting them know like, yo, listen, this shit ain't. Know what I mean, like, and going around deterring them from being in the gangs and shit like that. Now,
yeah,
pardon me, some of the members that I got around me, they still into the shit they into or whatever. And I can't. My thing was I never wanted to tell them to do something that I didn't. I never wanted to tell them to stop doing something that I didn't have a substitute for them. So I didn't want to tell them, yo, stop selling drugs. Don't do that shit if I didn't have another way for them to make money.
yeah, yeah,
You understand what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm not going to tell you not to go feed your family the way you feel like you need to feed your family. I'm going to tell you, yo, I got a better way for you to feed your family over here. And if I can't do that, then I'm not going to say nothing to you at all because
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't help your situation. So I'm
yeah,
not going to chastise you because I can't help you. And I understand that sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I ain't going to chastise you. I'm going to just let you know, yo, it's a better way. Maybe we could come sit down and figure this shit out together or whatever. So anyway, I'm extending myself to people in a way that I don't normally extend myself to. Know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
I'm trying to help people better their lives, but at the same time, me doing that is what's helping me better my life.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
got these gang members around me and I got them doing this shit. So one day a situation happens where I got one member in my house and we chilling and we cooling or whatever. And this member, he got an issue with another member. The other member that he got an issue with pulls up.
yeah,
And I tell this dude before he even comes in, I tell him, yo, listen, leave that shit alone. Y'all about to dead this shit. And if y'all don't feel like y'all could dead that shit, y'all gonna leave that shit alone while you here. So when he comes in here, don't fucking say nothing to him about that shit. Not in my house. Cause this ain't
yeah,
the place for that.
yeah,
So anyway, the dude comes in, and when he comes in, as soon as he comes in, the dude that's already in my house starts up some shit.
yeah,
The dialogue is too aggressive. Know what I mean? So I cut the dialogue short because this is my house. I'm the king here. I cut the
yeah,
dialogue short. Yo, y'all niggas is bugging. Chill the fuck out. The nigga who just came, he a hothead. He not the nigga that you, know what I mean? He ain't the
yeah,
nigga you talk to any way you feel like talking to. Know what I mean? Like, son is,
yeah,
he be on timing, know what I mean? And he was going through some shit at that time because he had just got shot at the night before. And like 2 days before that, he had just got shot at. So he already on edge. And then he comes in and he walks into you talking some shit about some beef y'all had a year ago.
yeah,
So I tell him, yo, chill, leave that shit alone. I stop that shit. The nigga who just came, he like, yo, you know what? Yo, I'm gonna be out. I'm gone. I'm gonna holler at you. I'll come back when this nigga ain't around. And the nigga walks away. He walks out, and as he's walking out, the nigga in my house says some more slick shit to him. So now when he leaves, I'm talking to the nigga in my house and I'm telling him, yo, nigga, don't never do that again. When I tell you leave something alone, you leave that shit alone, especially when you in my house, nigga. Now I mean, like you don't bring no type of smoke to my house, nigga. Not an argument, not nothing, nigga. And he like, yeah, no. But now the whole time I'm talking to him, the nigga who just left out went to his car to get his gun. So now I'm sitting in the house arguing with the nigga in my house. As this nigga comes back in the house, I hear the gun cock. I turn around, he's aiming the gun in my living room at the other nigga. So now me and this nigga start wrestling. I grab his gun hand, I hold it down, and now I'm wrestling with this nigga. And I'm not trying to take his gun. I'm just trying to get him out my house. So I take this nigga and I wrestle with this big ass nigga and I get this nigga out my house. Even though he's bigger than me, I'm stronger than him. Know what I mean? So I wrestle with this big ass nigga. I get him out the house. When I get him out the house, I take his gun. He begs me. He said, yo, homie, you know what I'm going through. Please don't take my gun. I give him his gun back. Like, yo, just get up out of here, my nigga. Come back later because me and you got to have a talk about what you just tried to do in my living room. He like, yo, homie, yo, my bad, yo, that shit. But you know all the shit that I've been going through. And I'm like, yo, listen, I ain't faulting you for feeling how you feel, my nigga. But we got to have a talk about that because your actions, your emotions getting the best of your intelligence could have just put us both in a situation. What if I wouldn't have turned around when I did and you would have shot that nigga in my house, homie? You putting me in a situation. Now, while me and him is talking, the nigga who was in my house goes in my closet and gets a gun, and now he runs out the house. Now he runs out the house, and the nigga that's I'm talking to, he sees the nigga run out the house with the gun. And he just starts firing. Doom, 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 doom. Right there as I'm talking to him. He just starts firing. Boom, 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 boom. Shoots this nigga in my house. Paralyzes the nigga. The nigga's paralyzed. He shot him crazy. The nigga paralyzed. He can't walk. The nigga drives off, gets up out of there, shit like that. Now he shoots this nigga on my front porch. And the people across the street was outside. And when they heard me and this nigga wrestling and shit, and seen that, shorty across the street, she starts recording. You know, that's what niggas do nowadays. They like to record shit. So as me and this dude is wrestling, shorty sees that and she starts recording. So she been recording the whole time. So now when this dude come running out the house with the gun and this dude starts firing, she got all of this shit on record. She's recording all of this shit. So all of this shit is on record. The fact that I was just outside wrestling with this nigga, the fact that when they started shooting, I was still standing right there. All of that shit is on video now. So now he pulls off and leaves. The other dude is shot. He's paralyzed, so he can't go nowhere. He's laying there. I go back in the house because I got a whole bunch of illegal shit in my house. I go back in the house because now I know the police is coming. I know they're gonna try to come up in here because of where this nigga just got shot at and this bitch across the street recording. Now I mean shit like that. So I get all the shit that ain't supposed to be in my house gathered up and get that shit out my house. Mind you, this nigga still laying shot paralyzed on my front porch. This shit is right across the street from a nursing home. Some of the nurses that worked there was out on their lunch break sitting in the back at the picnic table. So they seen the shit happen. So now they running over there trying to help this nigga shot that's on the ground shot, and I'm trying to get shit out my house. And as I'm coming out, that's when I see shorty on the porch recording. So now I got to deal with this bitch because bitch, how much do you got recorded? And are you on live with that shit or what? And I mean, like, bitch, how would you record? I need to see that recording, bitch. You need to stop recording and bring that shit to me right now. Know what I mean? So I'm trying to situate all of that shit. And at the same time, the police is coming. So now I get the recording from the female. I take her phone. I just take her whole phone. Like, give me this shit. I'll get this shit back to you after the police leave. But I'm taking this phone for now. I take her phone and I go back in my house. 10 minutes after I go back in the house, police at my door. They want to know what happened. I tell them, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I heard shots. I never came outside, whatever. The nurses that was out there, they tell the police, nah, he's lying. That nigga was in the middle of all of that shit, shit like that. I'm like, yo, Now I got to make up a story real quick. I'm like, yo, listen, I heard arguing outside. I came outside to see who was arguing, just like everybody else that came outside to see what was going on. I came outside to see what was arguing. I seen them argue in front of my house. I went downstairs. I told them, yo, listen, don't do that shit in front of my house. Know what I mean? Like, take that shit down the block somewhere or whatever. The dude, they both said they both was real respectful. I never seen a gun, da 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 da. Know what I mean? Shit like that or whatever. I do all of that shit so I could help this dude in his situation for being a hothead because you just did some hot ass shit. Mind you, and not even the fact of that, it's a store that's right there. The back of the store got cameras, and the back of the store is directly on the side of my house. So the store camera caught everything that happened also. So now, anyway, the lady at the store happened to be cool with me, so she knew that the police was gonna wind up, when they seen the camera, they was gonna wind up coming. So she wound up turning the camera off and telling the police she ain't have no footage, right? So fucking now police take me and my girl down to the police station, ask us what happened. We give them a statement like, yo, same thing I just said. Like, yo, I heard the arguing. I came out, told them they had to move down. They moved down. I went back in the house. When I went back in the house, I heard shots, but I never seen nobody with a gun, so I don't know who was shooting. Now, I mean, like, and when I came outside, I seen the nigga laying there, and you know, the rest of the story is up to the people that was outside to tell you, because I don't know. Now, I mean, now my story didn't my story wasn't the same story that the nurses and the other people that was out there, they didn't tell the same story I told. So the detectives knew I was lying from the jump and shit, but they was like, fuck it. They just wanted to do their job and say they did their job, and I just wanted them to leave me alone. Now, I mean, like, I wasn't never under arrest or nothing, no shit like that. Never threatened to be under arrest, nothing like that. Fucking, I was trying to do everything I could to help this nigga not go to prison for being a crash dummy. Know what I mean? Like, so anyway, 2 days later, he winds up getting locked up. He winds up getting locked up for the shooting and shit. When he gets locked up, now mind you, I'm telling the police I don't know this nigga. He gets locked up and he tells them, he gives them my number and address and tells them that I'm his fucking emergency contact. So now that's a conflict of interest. So he tells him that. I'm telling him, yo, I don't fucking know this nigga. So he's calling me from jail, and I'm not accepting the calls because I'm like, yo, nigga, I don't know you. Know what I mean? So I tell his girl, I call his girl, I tell his girl, yo, listen, tell that nigga to stop calling me. I don't know him. Know what I mean? Like, if he keeps calling me, they record every call in that jail. Know what I mean? Like, tell that nigga stop calling me. She says, yo, he want to know why you ain't send him no money or none of this shit like that. I said, I ain't paying. I don't pay for other niggas fuck ups.
Yeah.
I said, yo, listen, first he owes me $500 anyway. Know what I mean? Now tell him I'll forgive the $500 that he owes me, but I'm not obligated to take care of him while he's in jail. He put himself in jail. I didn't tell him to do that. He didn't do that for me. I wasn't in a situation with him and he happened to get caught. It wasn't nothing like that. Nigga, you did some dumb shit. And you think I'm supposed to pay for your mistake now? I'm not sending you shit.
Yeah.
So he like, yo, at least you could turn the phone on so I could call. I said, no, nigga, you can't call me. I don't know you. I'm trying to help you. If you tell your lawyer to call me as a witness and take your case to trial, I will help you. I will come to your trial and I will testify on your behalf.
Yeah.
The nigga like, nah, I don't need you to do that. I'm gonna just cop out. I just need you to send me a couple $100 for commissary and shit like that. Nah, that's me paying for your mistake, nigga. I'm not paying for your mistake. I'll help you get out of your situation if you need help, but I'm not paying for your mistake. That's not gonna happen. He couldn't handle that. So now what he does is he like, yo, fuck it. Yo, I'm gonna send my lawyer to you. Tell my lawyer what happened. I'm like, all right, cool. He sends his lawyer. I tell his lawyer the same thing that I told the police.
Yeah.
I heard arguing outside. I went outside. I seen these two niggas arguing. I asked them if they could take that shit down the street. They said they both was polite. I never seen a gun in neither one of their hands. And I went back in my house and I heard shots. There was other people outside. I don't know who was shooting. It could have been somebody else shooting. I don't know who was shooting because I've never seen nobody with a gun. The lawyer was like, yo, that helps, but it really doesn't do anything. He was like, it helps because you saying that you never seen my client with a gun. He said, you came outside and you had a conversation with my client. I said, yes, I had a conversation with him. He was telling me he had a problem with the nigga. I was asking him if they could just take it down the street. I didn't want it in front of my house. I never seen neither one of them with a gun. The nigga was like, all right, cool, da 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 da. He goes back, he talks to this nigga. This nigga calls me and tells me, yo, why didn't I tell his lawyer that nigga was shooting at him first? And I said, nigga, I am not telling nobody nothing about no guns or nobody shooting. I didn't see no guns and I ain't see nobody shooting. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it. If you can't work with that, I don't know what to tell you because that works in your favor. I'm telling your lawyer that I never seen you with a gun, that I encountered you and I never seen you with a weapon. That's the most I could do for you. Because anything that I do more than that, I'm implicating myself in a crime now.
Yeah.
So I said, that's the most I could do for you, bro, but that's enough. Now it's your job to try to put that shit off on somebody else. I gave them even enough to say that it could have been anybody shooting. There was a whole bunch of people out there.
Yeah.
Now I mean, like, so I opened the door for him. This dude calls me like a week later after that. He calls me and he like, yo, he asked me again if I could send him some money and he wanted me to pay his lawyer. He wanted me to give his lawyer like $1,200 or some shit like that and then send him some money. And I was like, bro, there ain't no fucking way that's going to happen. I'm never doing that. I'm not paying your lawyer nothing. I'm not sending you no money, nigga. I'm not paying for your mistake at all. And you owe me $500. Like, nigga, I told you the only thing I could do is forgive you for the $500 that you owe me. And nigga was like, yo, bro, he hangs up the phone mad. Anyway, his lawyer contacts me like a couple of days later and asked me if I could go to the grand jury and tell the grand jury everything that I said to him. I said, yeah. I'll go to the grand jury. I'll let them know everything. Me and my wife went down there. We both went to the grand jury. We both told them the same thing. Yo, we don't know what happened. We never seen nobody with no guns, but we did hear niggas arguing. We went outside. My husband went outside. This my wife told him, yo, my husband went outside and told him to fucking step down the block. They went down the block. When he came back in, we heard shots. We both looked back out. We ducked down when we heard the shots. When we both looked back outside, we seen a nigga land on the ground. This nigga that's in jail, he starts telling people that I told on him. Like, oh, yo, he told on me, yo, why he tell on me and shit like that. So I'm like, yo, if he's saying I told on him, tell him to send the paperwork. The paperwork will show that I never told on this dude. Now, I mean, like, I don't know nothing to tell on him. Like, I've changed the whole story from what really happened to some whole other shit and said that I never seen this nigga with no type of gun or nothing. Never told him that he came in my house with the gun, that we wrestled with it and all that shit. I told him I came outside, heard two niggas arguing. I asked them to move. They moved. That was that. I never seen no guns, never seen nothing. That got what I said implicated nobody in no crime. It got nobody in trouble. I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't under any type of penalty of being in trouble. I never in my life had a reason to tell on a nigga because I never gave a fuck whether I was in jail or out here. Now I mean, like, it was no difference to me as long as life is still going. I'm good wherever I'm at because I'm gonna make the best out of any situation. I always been like that. But fucking when that situation happened though, it showed me that the streets is not what they used to be. Now I mean, like, and that niggas don't got no type of honor out there no more, and that I really was the last of a dying breed. And I was like, yo, fuck that. I'm not gonna stay out here and die out. Yeah. I'm getting the fuck, like, that was the last thing that I needed. I didn't need nothing else after that situation right there. I knew. I was like, yo, I'm all the way done with this street shit because this shit there ain't even no loyalty and no morals with this shit no more. Like, when I was coming up, we had codes that we really stuck by, and we would always show loyalty to a nigga that showed loyalty to us. And I mean, like, and now I seen that it was just wasn't the same. And I was like, that was my breaking point right there. I was like, nah, niggas ain't never gonna put no shit on my name with all of the pain and shit that I went through in these street shit and all of the shit that I went through in my life to make sure I stood on 10 toes on the codes that I was living by. I'm not gonna let some new young nigga come here and try to tarnish my name with this new age shit that they got going on out here, whatever. And I was like, man, I'm done. I'm getting out. I'm not clearing up shit for nobody. This is the first time I'm ever speaking about this shit publicly beyond the people that's real close to me. Now, I mean, that know the situation. This is the first time I'm speaking out about it publicly. It's been people that been wanting to know what really happened for a couple years. That's what really happened. I mean, like the paperwork shows that everything I said is in that paperwork, never implicated nobody in no crime. Nobody in the world could ever say that they got locked up behind no shit that I ever said or did. Nobody could never say I set them up or told on them. There's no nigga on earth that could ever tell you that they did time because of me. It had never happened. You know what I mean? But that was the reason, that was the last straw. And then on top of that, there was another situation with my young niggas, with some of the younger niggas that was in the gang that I was in. They had got into some shit one day and somebody wound up losing their life and shit. And then while that dude was going to court, my name was coming up in his court, in his court paperwork and shit like that, where they were saying that I sent him to go kill this dude. Now, I mean, shit like that. And all throughout this paperwork, my name is being brought up all throughout this nigga's court case. And nobody ever came and told me that my name was being brought up in that court case. Now, I mean, so it took me having a conversation like a year later. I'm having a casual conversation with another nigga. And then he like, yo, that paperwork is crazy. And I'm like, what paperwork? And he was like, yo, from such and such case. And I was like, oh, word with that shit. He was like, nigga, you ain't see that shit? I'm like, nah. He was like, nigga, they made you seem like you was the biggest gang leader in New York within that shit. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, bro. He was like, yo, they implicating you and saying you was sending hits on niggas and all types of shit like that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, why my nephew ain't come and tell me this shit? My nephew was the one who got the paperwork. It's his little brother that's caught up in the case that my name keep coming up in. They trying to say I sent his little brother to kill a nigga, and y'all never came and told me this shit. And then there was a whole court case, and y'all got paperwork and see my name in this shit, and you telling your friends, but you ain't never come to me and tell me. Don't you think I was the first person that should have knew? Yeah. I said, where the fuck is the loyalty at? Then on top of that, it was just a lot of other little shit that was going on. And then a female that's supposed to be my sister, my nephew's mother, my nephew was getting caught up in shit, and the niggas that he's with, they getting caught up in shit. And then his mother is the one that's going to the police station telling the police that I got them out there doing this shit. Yeah. When literally I'm the nigga who's telling them not to go out there and do this shit. I'm running down on the young niggas. I'm taking guns from them and all types of shit. Like, yo, come here, young nigga. Let me search you real quick. Nigga, like, chill, Unc. Nah, ain't no chill, Unc, nigga. Come here, nigga. And I'm searching, and if I find a gun on them, I'm taking the gun. I'm bringing it back to their father, and their father is giving them the gun back. Yeah. But their mother is going down there blaming me, telling the police that I'm the one giving them guns to do this shit. No, I'm not. Your baby father is the nigga giving your sons guns. Yeah. And you know that. You know for a fact it ain't me. Your son told you that I'm the nigga who be disarming them and bringing the guns back. So what make you think that I'm giving your sons guns if I'm the nigga that's taking the guns from him when I see him outside? Make up your mind. Am I giving it to him or am I taking it from him? Yeah. Why would I give it to him if I was just going to turn around and take it from him? But you telling the police that I got your kids out here doing this because you can't handle the fact that you just failed as a mom. And it's not wrong. It's not and I don't want to say it like that. That's what it is. But I don't want to say it like that because it's a lot of moms that's out here failing as mothers. And it's not that they're failing as mothers. It's that they're failing as fathers because a mother is not meant to play the role of a father. Yeah. So mothers are not out here failing as mothers. Let me rephrase that. Mothers are out here failing as fathers, which is expected. Yeah. But that means that we as men are supposed to, when we see that there's a father failing household, we supposed to step up. That's what it means, that it takes a village. Yeah. Every household is not gonna have the father role there. But the niggas in the community that know that there ain't no father in that household, we supposed to step up as the fucking kings of this community and take over the ruler and be the role model to the kids that's in that house that are fatherless. Because that is a big problem in the areas that we come from, is kids growing up with no fathers. They don't know. How am I going to be a man if I was never taught and I never had no idea or no model on what a man was? Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, that's like, how can I go outside? I can't go into the woods and be a wolf. I was never trained to be a wolf. I wasn't meant to be a wolf. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a mom can't be a father. She wasn't trained to be a father. She wasn't never meant to be a father. That's
Yeah.
our jobs. Even if it's
Yeah.
not our kids, that's our job.
Yeah.
Father is not a name. Father is a title. It's a job.
Yeah.
Yo, Peace Supreme, come here. My son just came home from school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the paint bucket that I got. Push it. Pardon me.
No, you good.
Peace. You had a good
Yeah.
day?
Yeah.
All right. All right, go take your stuff off.
Okay.
You got homework?
No, it's a Friday.
Oh, yeah, right. You're right. All right. But yeah, man, I mean, like, I can't, like, I couldn't do it no more. And then I was upset with my nephew. I was heartbroken because I'm like, yo, listen, like, he don't even understand because I still never even had this conversation with him because I can't because of where he is now. He's locked up and me and him can't have the conversation. And for a long time, for a couple years, I was angry and didn't want to have the conversation. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, I just came to terms maybe a couple months ago that the conversation needed to be had, that a lot of stuff that I was holding in I needed to let it out before I started letting it eat me up and shit. And ain't no
Yeah.
telling where it would have led me from that shit eating me up. Know what I mean? Like it could have made me angry and want to do something to niggas. Know what I mean? And then I would have been on that mission again where fuck it, I feel like, yo, I need to show niggas physically how I feel. Know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
it's just like, yo, I just was like, fuck it, yo. When you hit me about, yo, doing the interview, I'm like, yo, fuck it. I could get out what I need to get out there. That's a safe space. I could use
Yeah.
this for a safe space so that I could get out what I never got out, what I never felt the need to explain to nobody before. If anybody wanted any type of explanation, this is all the explanation I got. Anything
Yeah.
other than this, you're never gonna get. After today, I'm never explaining this again. Know what I mean? Like this is it. So
Yeah.
I just used that, and I thank you for the opportunity for me to use that, even though you didn't know that that was my angle right there. But I definitely wanted to get that out. But
Nah, this is a judgment-free spot, man. Like I told you, this is your interview. Yeah, I'm just here just asking questions. So whatever you wanted to say, however you wanted to say it, this was for you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
This is
like, and
for your story.
I just felt like when I left, I felt betrayed by so many people.
Yeah.
I felt betrayed by so many people, but I always, when I was young, the older gods taught me that there's nothing accidental or coincidental in the universe. Know what I mean? So everything that happens is if you want to say everything that happens is a part of God's plan. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now when you're dealing with God's plan, you're dealing with a plan with two paths. Know what I mean? So God's plan is a plan with two paths. It's dependent upon what path you choose.
Yeah.
According to that plan, is the
Yeah.
direction on which you will go. For so
Yeah.
many years, I chose the left path, and God
Yeah.
made sure that whatever was waiting for me on that path, I received.
Yeah.
So now that I choose to take the right path, I got to make sure that I stay steadfast in my traveling of that path. And
Yeah.
God is going to make sure that everything that was supposed to happen, because when I always look back on my life, I always look back and it's situations that I got out of and situations that I dodged. And I'd be like, damn, how did I dodge that? And I'd be like, yo, only reason I dodged that is because of this. If this didn't happen, I would have got caught up on this. Or yo, if I didn't get locked up on this day, I would have been with these niggas over here on this day and I would have been dead with them too. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like I said, it's God's plan. Know what I mean? Like whatever
Yeah.
choices that I make, I just gotta understand that, yo, as long as I make the best decisions I can make, God is always gonna have my back. Know what I mean? Like, because it's nothing accidental or coincidental. We just gotta be steadfast in our dealings. We gotta be steadfast in the path that it is that we trying to take.
Yeah.
I can't half step. I can't do what I was doing in my past. I can't have one foot in and one foot out. I gotta
Yeah.
have both feet on this path, and we gotta keep moving forward. And I had to come to that realization when all of that shit was happening. I was saying, yo, this is the universe. This is the God of my understanding putting me in a situation where I'm at a crossroads. I need to make a decision. I could go this way and live the way I'm supposed to be living, or I could try to fight and go this way. I'm tired of fighting. I'm
Yeah.
tired of having to fight. So I was like, man, fuck that. I'm not explaining shit to nobody. I'm just packing up and I'm done. And I had to
Yeah.
do it like that because if I didn't do it like that, I never would have left. I would still be out there selling drugs. I would still be out there gang banging. I would still be out there doing everything that I was doing because I was half stepping, playing with it, playing with changing my life, and I wasn't serious about it. When I became serious about it, I started reaping the benefits of that plan. Know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I became serious. I made the first move, which was relocation. I relocated, and with that relocation came the serenity for me to actually be in tune with my own thoughts and collect and gather and organize my thoughts the way that they need to be collected, gathered, and organized so that I could move forward the way I wanted to move forward. And then everything started falling in line after that. Once I
Yeah.
started living the way I was supposed to be living, everything started falling in line. I got my own land. I got my own home. I got my own business. I got custody of my son. I'm a single father. I'm taking care of my mother. I'm making sure my mother good. We all take care of each other as a unit. Fucking
Yeah.
um I had certain issues relationship wise that I with females I was dealing with. All of those things they balance themselves out. And I mean like
Yeah.
every I had issues with financial issues with child support and all that type of shit from other kids, and all of that shit balanced itself out. Now I mean, like everything, like once I started walking in my light, the light ain't stopped shining.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many years with that street shit, those days was dark. Too many dark days to count. Know what I mean? Like, but since I've been living this way, and I still got faults and shit that I be still got bad habits and shit, and sometimes I'll be having negative thoughts and shit like that. But the thought is nothing as long as I don't put it into activation. Know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just keep that in mind. Like, yo, I ain't perfect. I'm just evolving every day, evolving. So every day I'm in competition with myself. When I wake up today, I'm in competition with who I was yesterday, and it's just one step at a time with me. Know what I mean? And with a lot of these dudes out here in the streets, that's what y'all need to know. Stop trying to get everything in one day, man. Stop trying to get everything in one day. Patience is a virtue, and one step at a time, man. Take your time, figure it out. A lot of dudes out here in the streets got mental health issues and got other issues like that family issues that make them do certain things that they do, and shit like that. Like, yo, find out what it is that's making you do what you do, and find the problem, and then find a solution to the problem, man. Because a lot of us is walking around out there in the streets, and we just allowing problems to pile up. We not dealing with them. We letting problems pile up on us, and then we walking around with the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we wondering why. It's because we never took time to deal with these problems, man. Take time and deal with your situations. If you got loved ones and shit that you got that y'all got cross relationships right now, go talk to them loved ones and straighten that shit out, because today might be your last day to get that done. Don't wait till tomorrow. Go do that shit right now. Right now. Family members that y'all got fucked up shit, fucked up energy between y'all, go straighten that shit out, man, because we all need each other at the end of the day. We all need each other, and we need each other in a real capacity, not in a gang capacity. And don't look at this interview and think I'm coming down on gang members. Like I said, I was a gang member all my life, damn near. We got to understand where we get this. That shit is part of our innate nature to form cliques. We are a tribal people. Now I mean, like when we dealing with these gangs is just different. They just modern day tribes.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with these nations is modern day nations. A nation is many tribes that come together under one banner. That's the same thing that's going on with these gangs. It's just our tribal nature. But take our tribal nature and let's start doing real tribal things with them. Build a community. Start actually putting away shit so that if I grow greens and shit over here, if I'm growing vegetables over here, then you ain't gotta grow them. You could grow the fruits, and we could barter with each other. When I need fruits, I could come to you and trade you for these vegetables that you need. Let's try to make sure that we all got something that each other need. Let's really take it from the gang shit and uplift it and make it what it is, because what we're doing with the gangs is we're really just at the bottom of the toilet pole with tribal experience. We're trying to remember the way that we lived, the way that we was naturally meant to live. God made it the tribes. Now I mean, like God said
Yeah,
that there was supposed to be these 12 tribes, and that now I mean, like these 12 tribes
yeah,
were supposed to run around and do what they were supposed to do. This shit was ordained to us, so that's why we fall back into these things because it's our nature. God made that part of our nature to be tribal, to create tribes and move as a tribe. That's the same thing. That's the same thing as a gang. We just doing it on a negative aspect instead of on a positive divine aspects. We just gotta learn how to make the transition, and you could keep the foundation, just make the transition from the negative into the positive, and the gangs is gonna be honestly the savior of a lot of people with in these times that's coming up, because those are the niggas that's not scared to come outside and be on the front line. But y'all coming outside and y'all on the front line with the wrong enemy. You looking at the nigga next to you that look just like you as your enemy. That's not your enemy, bro. That's not your enemy. Find who your enemy. Not to say that none of your enemies ain't gonna look like you, but just find out who your enemy is. And if you feel like you got that type of energy that you want to destroy your enemy, nigga, destroy the enemies that really exist. Stop destroying your brother, the nigga that looked like you, the nigga that came up in the same struggle that you, is the same neighborhood that you, that went through the same, that had to make the same sacrifices that you made, that lost the same, took the same losses you took. Now I mean, like, we in this shit together, and until we realize that, we're gonna have a hard time. We're gonna have a hard time because like the the times that's coming on now, like we in the end times, man. If and everybody ain't religious or whatever, but it ain't hard to see. If you just
yeah,
look around at what's going on in the world, man, it ain't hard to see. And every religion spoke about this. You know what I mean? Like every
yeah,
religion spoke about this, but y'all gotta understand a revelation doesn't mean end. Revelation means that everything that was once hidden will be revealed. So that's what we in the time now. This hidden information is being revealed. Take that information and do good with it, man. Take that information and do good with it. Even with this little bit of information I'm giving you here, take the good, take whatever you can out of it. I'm not never gonna come on here on no platform and brag about no street shit. 10 years ago, maybe I would have been in here. Now I see that shit is the most dumbest shit ever. I see niggas argue about who had the most prison time in and all types of shit like that, and who did the most shit to niggas and foul shit to niggas and shit like that. And it's like, yo, your aspirations, you gotta change your aspirations so that you could change your height and where you succeed at. Because if you only want to succeed at being an ignorant nigga, it ain't hard to do that, man. Just go outside and throw it away, be a crash dummy. But if you're trying to really succeed and be somebody that influential, and somebody that's, I mean, like somebody worthy of respect and notoriety and all of the things that you wanted to be when you was in high school, go do that shit, man, because the street shit is dead, and it ain't no winners in the game. Don't be a fucking loser all your life. Like me, I had to figure it out. I had to make the stand. Like, yo, I don't want to be a loser all my life. And that street
yeah,
shit ain't no winners, man. It's only losers. Only losers. Not a single person ever won that shit.
yeah. Yo, man. First of all, everything you said, man, I'm glad you said it, and I definitely want to thank you for coming on the show, man, and sharing your experience with everybody, man. Because I'm sure this interview is gonna help a lot of kids that's gonna watch this and be like, yo, everything he went through, I don't want to do that, but he had enough the mental capacity to know like, yo, I got to do something different. I got to change my environments. A lot of dudes come out here and they don't they try to do one thing right, but sometimes, like you said, you just got to change your whole environment. You got to leave.
You
You got
gotta
to leave
leave.
and get out of it. You got to leave and get out of here. So, yo, that I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It definitely was dope. It was a dope show. And for everybody watching this, what I'm saying, make sure y'all take that everything he said, everything that you said, and take that into consideration and take that as knowledge. Like, yo, I can go through something, but I don't have to. It doesn't have to define me at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right, right.
you know what I mean? So I definitely want to appreciate everybody for watching this episode of the Corey Porter Prison Talk, yo. And we're gonna talk to y'all soon. Yo, do you want them to be able to find you online anywhere? You might have some people out here that might want to talk to you even more in depth about like the gang prevention thing you doing, intervention thing you doing. You have like
Um,
they can
Listen
find
to
you
the
at.
parents, that happen to be watching this, especially the single mothers. Um, the single mothers, I want y'all to know that y'all not alone. And I want y'all to know that it's a lot of single mothers that's in situations where they're dealing with children that they're afraid of. Don't be afraid of your children. Don't be afraid to be a mother to your children. Don't be afraid to be the disciplinary to your children. Like they need it. They need it. And you're doing more harm than good by not being that disciplinarian. And know that you could get in contact with me if you got kids that you feel like might be a little bit out of your control, or you might not know how to approach them about what it is that they got going on. You could reach me. I'm on Facebook. My name is Supreme Graham L on Facebook. And you could reach out to me, just send me a message to my inbox, send me a number, I could get in touch with you. I'll um I'll do anything that I can to help you. If
Yeah,
especially if you think your child is headed towards living gang life or anything like that, you could get in touch with me. I'll be willing to do whatever I can from my side to help you or speak to your child, or even if I need to come up there and make a visit or whatever. And if we got that type of relationship, you could send your child down here. I got enough space. I got 10 acres of land, and I got a business that I could put their ass right to work. Know what I mean? But
yeah. And I'll put your link to your Facebook in the description of the video, so y'all can find the link in the
yeah.
description of the video and click right on it and follow you.
But like, yo,
But yo,
just don't give up, man. Like to the parents out there with kids that's at risk of being in the streets, like don't give up on your kids, man. Like let your kids know that they could come and talk to you about anything, because a lot of people, a lot of niggas in the streets is just looking for the love that they feel like they don't get at home, that they didn't get in their own house, so they go outside and look for it somewhere else. Like, don't be scared to show your kid love. Like I tell my kid every day, I tell my son I love him when he wake up. I tell him I love him when he on his way out the door. When he come in, I tell him we love him, and I let him know before he go to sleep. I make sure that they know that the love is there, not just verbally but physically. And sometimes that's all kids is missing. They just missing that hug, man. Like hug your kids,
yeah,
man. Love your kids. Let them know that they love. Let them know that they could count on you for anything, and whatever you can't do alone, y'all could do together. And
yeah,
just try to keep the family structure going, man. And peace and love to everybody that's watching. And I wish everybody abundant blessings for this year, 2024.
yeah. On that note, we're gonna be out, yo. Preem, I appreciate you, man, for coming on, yo, and I thank you very much for it.
Yo, I appreciate you more for giving me the opportunity, man. And definitely much blessings to you, man. I see what you're doing, whether you know it or not. I got your book in here somewhere. I don't know where it's at, because I had my
Yeah,
son reading it. And I got my son reading one of your books so that because he has to read every Friday through Saturday or Sunday. He has to read a book, and then he has to write an essay on it on Monday about it. So
yeah,
your book
yeah,
is one of the books that he has next in line for him to read, so he could write the
yeah,
essay on it. And I'm gonna make sure I record it so you could see him
yeah,
reading it. You might could use that for
yeah.
something that you got going on or
Absolutely,
something like that. But
absolutely.
definitely got your book, that you know I support that shit. And
Yeah,
like I congratulate you on that shit. Like, yo, like you
yeah,
always had your head on your shoulders, even when we was young niggas. I mean, you
yeah,
younger than me, but like you was always
yeah,
the nigga. Like you always been a role model type nigga. Know what I mean? Like you always
yeah. I
had your head
appreciate
on
it.
your shoulders. You had vision and drive.
Yeah,
And I appreciate you, man. Like more than you
yeah,
know, I appreciate you, man.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Thank you. I
and tell your
appreciate that,
brother
yo.
I definitely send my love. Shout out to your brother and all of that shit too,
Yeah,
and shit, and your cousins and
yeah,
shit too. Born Ready and
yeah,
Special and all of them. Or
yeah, yeah. They definitely gonna see it, yo. We appreciate you though, but we out, man. I
yo,
holla at
definitely.
y'all.
All right.
Yeah, peace, peace.
Peace.
Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe.